Welcome back, True Seeker. Sorry about the late start. Was having trouble with the mic, but I think I got it resolved. If there's anything wrong with the sound, if you guys could let me know before I get going. But I wasn't getting any mic response. Had to do a complete reset. I don't know if the wire's going bad. Looks fine, but if you guys can let me know that the mic is good, we'll jump into the latest. Let me see. No response in the chat. Says we got people in the room. Oh, shout out to, there it is. We get the, thank you, Vanessa. Shout out to Gnostic Knowledge. If you guys didn't know, Vanessa, who has the channel Gnostic Knowledge, she read both of my books out of the goodness of her heart. So if you've ever wanted an audio version of my book, the closest thing is Gnostic Knowledge, who took the time to read all of it. And to understand why it was a great effort, the first book is this long. She had to read all this. And then the second book is about half as long as that, which is still very long. So shout out to Vanessa. And she's also been out in Seattle with me a lot. She's been out with me more than anyone in all the days of Pound and Pavement, from Seattle to Spokane. So shout out to Vanessa. But yeah, the topic at hand. In addition to the topic at hand, the 4 suicides in Robert Luna's sheriff's office within 24 hours, we're going to talk about that. Of course, we're going to bring up the song Police Murder by Numbers because it's so relevant. And then we're going to talk about the follow-up to yesterday's video about the death of the Houston football star, DJ Hayden, and what happened in the game in the fourth quarter. And we're going to talk about why these things are so interesting, because we'll get to it. And then we're also going to talk about the game in Europe today on the Superior General's 75th birthday. I feel like what they did in the game today, not a good sign for the world or this country, and we'll get to why that is. Again, if you're new here, we talk about how rigged the game is, how the game is literally rigged in news stories, and the politics and the symbolism of what's taking place in the world, and it's kind of crazy that people don't see it because it's so obvious. I mean, 9/11 Patriot Act, Patriots, for one shining example, and there's about 1,000 plus more. And in this community, we're building the examples by the day. I mean, there's way more than 1,000 examples, really. It's amazing how rigged the game is and how most people are totally asleep to it. And then when, the lights snapped, or when they get a blink of what might be going on, how many people just want to shut it off and not pay attention because it's easier to just be asleep. But the consequences of being asleep are evil people are governing over us. They're in our sheriff's office, for example, and they're selling this nation out for their own fame, for their own name, for, I guess their own gain, for wealth, to have authority and be high up on the pyramid of hierarchy. This guy, Robert Luna. You remember we were talking about the beginning of 2023, the Lunar New Year's festival shooting in Los Angeles, right after Robert Luna had been sworn in as sheriff. And we talked about how perfectly ritualistic it was. And for doing that, I got videos taken down and suspensions. And I just thought, man, it's sad. It's sad that for those of us who are around my age, again, you guys, I'm 40 years old right now. And the internet, America Online, it was becoming like a new thing that just some people had. Like, I was in middle school when America Online came out, and the internet was this newer thing where people are starting to get in their house. And in our grade, 8th grade, there was one kid who had the internet like weeks or probably months before anyone else, and everyone gave him the name Adam Online because his name was Adam. He was the only one online with an AOL account. You're like, oh, what's it like? It was like this new thing that just most of us didn't have. We didn't have like an internet connection in our house. We didn't have the computer at the time. We didn't, like, literally in my house, we didn't have our own computer at that time. My mom had got my sister a small computer for her to go to college, and she'd bring it home on summer break. I remember we'd play Wheel of Fortune like on the black and green screen. But anyway, I lost my train of thought. It'll come back. It'll come back. I'm trying to get to the point of just how much the game has changed and like what the internet's done to the world, and now how we're constantly just getting propaganda right to our screens, just reinforcement, ritual after ritual. Anyway, let's get to why it matters that there's 4 former or current LA Sheriff's employees in Robert Luna's office that are dead right before the Lunar New Year festival. And by the way, to be fair about the internet, all things good and bad, without the internet, I wouldn't have been able to harness the information to figure out what we now have been discussing and learning about and teaching about for over a decade. But anyway, if you're new here, this is a numbers-oriented channel. I was looking to what it is with numbers and rituals. For example, if you just pay attention to headlines, you'll be amazed at how many times the story is about death and the number 4 is just right in the headline. 4 and death. So I was looking into answers and I found this researcher from history who was publishing books in the early 1900s up through the 1900s, but for a lengthy period of time he put out a lot of books, Manly P. Hall, and he covered topics like what 4 means to the occult, why 4 is associated with death. Again, what he writes about is how 1 is the individual in terms of numbers, 2 is like the pairing, the couple coming together, 3 is like making the child, and then the next phase of life after you've procreated is death. And it happens rapidly for some things in the living world, like how insects will procreate and then eat the partner for nourishment, these types of things, spiders and whatnot. But again, there's a reason that the occult have assigned numbers to meaning. And the 4th book of the Bible is titled Numbers. And the Bible is a book of numbers. And the Bible is a book of good and evil and, God and Satan, if you will, or good and evil. A simple way that everyone can relate. A numbered book. If you're new here, we talk about where these numbers come from in the Bible. Like, for example, Genesis 46 is about sacrifice. And sacrifice is a word that has a numerical value of 46 in the code of letters, numbers of Gematria. But there's very specific things that come up again and again. And 4 and death is one of them. So here we have 4 deaths, all said to be suicides. And if you read the article, they're all being investigated as homicides. So the headline says suicides, being investigated, and again, just a repetitive number. Plus, by the way, with regards to 4 and death, in the Far East, Mandarin Chinese, Japanese, the words for death are pronounced the same as the number 4. You start paying attention to scary movies that hint at the occult, you'll notice the repetitive use of the same types of numbers on the screen. So, again, the patterns are unmistakable once you recognize them. That's what consciousness is, like being aware of something. You can see something your whole life, and if you weren't aware of it, it never stood out to you. But now that you're aware of it, now when it comes before your face or you hear it with your ears, you understand it. I mean, how many times as a child was it that you learned a word for the first time and you could have sworn that word had never been used before that day, before you learned about it? And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I'm hearing this word everywhere. I didn't realize how many times people use this word. Before it was just like something that it was bouncing around, but it wasn't resonating in your brain because your brain hadn't assigned meaning to it. And understand, the number 4 isn't just about death, too. All numbers are dualistic, good and bad. My birth numerology is 4. 4 is not all bad. But it is used ritualistically in death by this terrible thing that's governing over us, which is why I do the work that I do every day. Because I've seen that this terrible thing is governing over us and making the rules and lying to us since I was a teenager. And it was just so obvious to me. And I couldn't believe that everyone else couldn't see it. And here we are in 2023, and almost you could say not a damn thing's changed other than we got the internet, and now instead of people using it for knowledge and information and gaining ability to overcome this evil that rules over us, instead they're using it to, they say almost all the bandwidth for the internet is being used on porn, streaming entertainment, and video games. And I mean, hey, do what you want with your life, but like I said, if I had to write a tombstone for humanity right now, it would be, R.I.P. world, we jerked it away. I mean, if you look at the internet data, it looks like, isn't that right? It's like, oh, so everybody was jerking off instead of like trying to gain knowledge and understanding and answer questions that we should also be asking. Like, what? Why has this government been almost always involved in some war since it was created in 1776? Like, isn't it? Don't we need a real answer to that? I mean, no other nation has a history with like that high of a percentage of time of being involved in wars all over the world. Got the freedom here, though. The freedom. So yeah, here's why this matters more than just 4 suicides. Here's where it gets creepy. So Robert Luna was sworn in December 5th, 2022. And just so you can see this, he's the 34th sheriff of Los Angeles County, assumed office December 5th. We've been talking about this since the Lunar New Year's festival shootings that began January 21st. And by the way, if you're new here, Gematria, the simple practice calling numbers into words, we have a whole catalog of suspicious suicide stories and 34 in the mainstream. Just like, again, every video. Hey, world, can at least 5 more people wake up with this video? Is this video going to wake up at least 5 more? I hope we can get at least 5 more people. But we've done at least 1,000 videos like that over the years saying, look at this weird 34 thing with suicide. So I want you to think 4 suicides in 24 hours in Robert Luna's office, the 34th sheriff of Los Angeles County. And notice where suicide and murder have the same gematria value. And the police, the band, where one of the members, his father was literally in the CIA. These aren't conspiracy theories. You can look it up. The band, the police, where Sting was the front man. One of the other members of the band, you can look it up. His father was in the CIA. Just do a little research. You'll see it's not a conspiracy theory. These are facts. But they did the song Murder by Numbers by the Police, where killing is the sport of the elected, and it's as simple as ABC as 1, 2, 3. Now, what's before your eyes is as simple as ABC as 1, 2, 3. If you haven't figured out how these words add up yet, I'm going to explain it in 1 second, but it is as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3. Sheriff's office are elected, you know? And then the song encourages that once you've learned this sport of murder by numbers, that you should try for more. You should try for a twosome, a threesome. How many can you kill at once? Can you do it as simply as putting something in somebody's coffee? It's a really twisted song. Murder by Numbers by the Police. And we're going to get to why it matters the year it came out. But again, right now we have in the headlines 4 suicides in his office within 24 hours. But they're being investigated as something other than that. So I don't know why they're so quick to put out the suicide headline. And I'm being sarcastic about not knowing why they do it. You guys, if you have not read and just like tried to like get information in your lifetime, it's something you really need to do, and from all different sources and angles. I spent like my late teen years through. And the first author I discovered that actually made me want to read was Kurt Vonnegut, because I related with the author. That might not be your author. You might not relate with Kurt Vonnegut, but I related with Kurt Vonnegut because he was outraged about society and he saw how it was all bullshit and he was making it funny and interesting. And I instantly resonated with that, and it made me just want to read. And I was like, oh, what else does he write? I want to read what else he has to write. I resonate with this person. But he also is putting information and words in there. So if you look these things up, it's like, oh, I didn't know about that. That's interesting. What's Dresden? He's saying how horrible the Dresden bombing was. That's how I learned about these things when I was younger. I was like, God, the United States and UK, just at the end of the war for no reason, bombed over 100,000 refugees with the first use of napalm. I mean, that's sick. And we don't learn about that in our 13 years of slave school. If we're going to learn about how evil these other countries were and the things they did, like, honestly, guys, this is no justification for the story of the Nazis. But I don't know if there is like one, well, okay, never mind. I'm not even going to go down this road. People get pissed. But the point is, napalming 100,000 people that didn't have to do with the war, a refugee camp where they avoided the war at the end of it for no reason when the war's over. I mean, if you guys don't know what napalm is, it's fire from the sky. You're essentially being just burned to death by these planes that flew over and dropped hot, like molten fire on you. First use of that in warfare was killing the refugees of Germany. Again, people that didn't want anything to do with the war, so they went and lived an impoverished life in the refugee camps just to survive. And after surviving, who was still there at the end, got napalmed. And again, I mean, what that made me do as a young person when I learned that and looked it up and saw that it was real, is it made me go, well, what else aren't they telling me? I mean, how many other lies are there? And keep in mind, I'm discovering this author after 9/11, where I knew I'd been lied to by my government. I'm just thinking, God, what else they've been up to. Then you learn about what they did in South America and the School of Americas and all that murder. I'm getting off topic, though. Hold on. Let me bring it back and finish the point here about Robert Luna. Again, what I'm trying to teach you, though, is there are secret societies and there are murderers and killers and psychopaths, and they work by a numerical code over and over, and humanity needs to rise up against it. This is who's governing over L.A. right now. Man who's down with sacrifice in his own office, and there's no doubt about it that that's what it is, because look how perfect it is, you guys. From the day he got sworn in, if you read the article, the suicides happened November 6th and November 7th. 4 suicides within 24 hours in those days, November 6th, November 7th. So notice from the day he's sworn in, December 5th to November 6th, it's 48 weeks later exactly. Now, we talked about this with the Lunar New Year festival shooting, which I'll bring up again. But Luna, his last name, he got sworn in right before the Lunar New Year festival shooting that happened on his 48th day of being in office. So we talked about this back then, right? We talked about how it was 47 days after. Again, that's another important number here. 47 and 48 are both important. And, just people who are looking to try their mind, they're like, oh, so there's other numbers that are important? This must be bullshit. It's like, how did you just jump to that conclusion? Listen. Both of these numbers are super relevant and to the same order. And the numbers do tell a story, and the numbers are used as a language, and there's a reason these numbers are next to each other. So 47 days after he took office, or his 48th day of being in office, January 21st, was the Lunar New Year's Festival shooting. And again, now it's 48 weeks after he took office. And keep in mind the day this began, November 6, 2023, that date numerology path, 11 plus 6 plus 20 plus 23 is 60. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Luna is 60. You run the alphabetic order forwards. L is the 12th letter. U's the 21st. N's the 14th. A's the 1st. You add it up. Luna's 48. Again, you run the alphabetic order in reverse. Z would be the first letter. You'd make A the last letter, which is the 26th letter of the alphabet. When you run it in reverse, Luna is 60. And again, 60 date numerology this happened on, 48 weeks after he took office. Other words that equal 48 that matter. And there's a lot of them, actually. I mean, this is a short list. But Freemason equals 48, which is important because the Fraternal Order of Police is a Masonic order. It's a secret society that has a sort of open and known relationship, but you don't really know what's going on, but you know it's there. I mean, they put it out there. The Fraternal Order of Police has the Masonic handshake in the logo, the all-seeing eye, which is used by the Masons, and other secret societies. But it's associated with the Illuminati. And remember, in Gematria, Freemason equals 48. So does Illuminati. Here, if you're new here, let's go over again how the ciphers work. I was saying that what was before your eyes with the 34s was as simple as A, B, C is 1, 2, 3. In case you did not figure out how that was, again, here's all you got to do. Write out the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is the 26th letter. So write out all the letters and give them the corresponding number based on the alphabetic order. And then what you do is, when you get to J, you'll notice that J is the 10th letter. In this cipher that's on the screen where suicide and murder equal 34, the numerology of 10, because again, J is the 10th letter, is 1 plus 0 is 1. So J becomes 1. K, the 11th letter, becomes 1 plus 1 is 2. L, the 12th letter, becomes 1 plus 2 is 3. Suicide. S is the 19th letter. The numerology of 19 is 1 plus 9 is 10. 10 is 1 plus 0 is 1. Numerology is reducing a larger number down to a single digit. That's what numerology is. So the alphabetic order with numerology, which is as simple as A, B, C, is 1, 2, 3, just like the song sings about. Manly P. Hall wrote about this code within the English language in a book that came out in 1926. And again, this is what's emphasized. This is why when I started my research, 90% of everything I did was in this cipher. And if you just went over the years, you guys, it's been crazy how many times we talked about 34 and suicide. To see that this guy's the 34th sheriff, when I saw that, that was the first thing I looked up. I was like, me go see what sheriff number he is. And I said, oh my God, 34. But yeah, the 4 base ciphers, and Manly P. Hall introduces all of them. These are them. So, for example, notice the gematria of sheriff with the alphabetic order 71, with the alphabetic order in numerology 44. 44 is a very fateful number. It's the rep digit of 4. 4, the number of death, kill, execution. They're both 44. Talk about this number all the time in suspicious death. Again, military equals 44. So does soldier, infantry, trooper, officer. All of these words 44 that are military related. The word shooting is 44. The word gunfire is 44. Look at this, you guys. How many times do they tell you that the mass shooter is former military? Military is 44, and that same cipher, gunfire is 44. Shooting in that cipher is 44. And mass shooter, that's what I was thinking, mass shooter is even 44. I wrote a book, you guys, that came out in 2017, and we've been talking about this since 2013, but just the same use of mass shooting rituals in 44. The latest one in Maine that was really bad. They said the shooter was born on April 4th. They put out his birthday, and if you look up Lewiston, Maine coordinates, it's on the 44th parallel. You know, you got this town on the 44th parallel, a shooter on 4-4, former military, and we've been talking about this stuff a million times over the years, you guys. That's why it's frustrating that it's 2023 and there's not more people that have helped embrace this knowledge and help get out the word and expose what's going on. Makes me feel like the majority of the world truly is demonic, under a true spell and sorcery, which some of us can see through and are exposing. Spells and spelling, Kabbalah, spell casting through this code. Same rituals day after day. So anyway, Robert Luna, 4 dead within 24 hours, 48 weeks after he became sheriff on December 5th, when earlier this year the Lunar New Year festival shooting happened on his 48th day of being in office, when his name is 48. And again, it's the 48 laws of power. Read that if you haven't. It's Illuminati equals 48. It's Freemason equals 48. So again, the 4 base ciphers, alphabetic order, reverse alphabetic order, and then both ways with numerology. But Illuminati's 48. Run it the other way. Freemason's 48. And something interesting also is the word evil is 48. The word tree is 48, and the evil half of Kabbalah is the Qlippoth, which is about sorcery and spellcasting and using knowledge such as this to achieve it. Tree's got that 48 and 60, actually, just like Luna. It's got overlap in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. But again, all of this stuff does go back to Kabbalah, and we're going to make a larger point about that. But let's come back to the word sheriff in light of the 4 base ciphers. We went the extra mile on the 44. Notice the 118. This is happening to, this is a weird story, right? In the history of the U.S., how many sheriffs have ever experienced 4 staff members committing suicide within 24 hours? I mean, how many times does that happen? It's a big country with a pretty long history. Short compared to other places in the world, but still, it's a long enough history now that out of all the sheriff's office, there must be some kind of eerie similarity, and maybe you start to look into it more and you start to see how eerie the similarity is. You're like, oh, look at this. It's like the exact same damn ritual. This guy's name was Luna too. Are you kidding me? And remember, Illuminati, right? Luna, the moon is illuminated. If you're new here, you guys got to know things like this. Order of Illuminati 201. Neil Alden Armstrong 201. The first man to walk on the moon landing July 20th on the 201st day of the year. And a way longer list than this. The founder of the Illuminati, again, Jesuit trained. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. Jesuit trained Adam Weishaupt, the founder of the Illuminati, don't forget, died 201 days after the anniversary of the order's establishment, and then the 1,000 other things that go with that. But that's how you can see that this thing is still real. It is still alive. Again, you gotta be like a dunce to not put it together. The Illuminati was a real thing, established May 1st, 1776, 64 days before America was established. And we're going to hit that in a big way with what they did in Germany, because the Illuminati was created in Bavaria, Germany, again, by Jesuit-trained Adam Weishaupt. And home teams, to make a point, the Patriots lost today to the only 201 city in America, Indianapolis, on the Superior General's 75th birthday, which we'll get to. But home team stayed on 76 wins for the entire season to the 201 team, the city that does all the 201 rituals, which you keep educating about year after year, sick thing after sick thing, like what they did with Elgin Baylor right before Baylor won the championship in Indianapolis. He's dead at 86. Baylor's the champion next thing you know with 86 points. So Robert Lunar New Year festival shooting, the moon illuminated. And by the way, our understanding of the world, and it does seem to be, I'm not arguing that it's not true. You know, flat earthers will tell you it's all backwards and it's all a lie. And again, anything's possible. But remember, heliocentrism is 201, which says the sun is the center of it all. Again, once upon a time, the common belief was more of a spiritual belief that we're the center of it all, and God made this paradise for us, and everything in the skies is, you know, revolving around us. You start to look into it, the planets, the things that actually move, you know, they're considered gods. And the Bible has a lot of astrotheology parallels. But anyway, the reason this matters, heliocentrism, the model that says the sun is at the center of it all. It was established in the 16th century, right? The 16th century. Again, we're going to get to how in today's football game in Germany, only 16 points were scored. The 201 team defeats the Patriots. You know, it's not the same without Tom Brady, the man born 201 years after the Illuminati in the United States of America, married to Giselle, born on the 201st day of the year. But again, in light of how world events are synced up with these rigged sports leagues, with these rituals with sheriff's office, how you can see that the Illuminati is this real thing, and it is the Jesuit network. I mean, you guys, it's so obvious. Today, the superior general of the Jesuits, he turns 75 years old, right? He turns 75. Indianapolis Colts, 75, right? Indianapolis, the only city that's 201 in the same cipher as the Jesuit order. Just like Ignatius of Loyola is 201 and 75, the first superior general. Today, the superior general, the current one, Arturo Sosa, turns 75. As things are popping off in Israel, as the nation turns 75, which we had circled and expected from understanding the code and talking about how important this stuff is for a long time. State of Israel, for example, is 201. And David Ben-Gurion, its founder, died 201 days from the anniversary of its establishment. And he was Jewish, just like Adam Weishaupt, who was Jesuit trained, who founded the Illuminati, was Jewish. And again, that's not a slight on Jewish people. It's to say these are obviously intelligent people. But it is to remind that there's a heavy Catholic, Jewish, Jesuit history with the Illuminati and secret societies in the Old Testament. And it doesn't mean every Jewish person's responsible, because almost every Jewish person has no idea about any of this stuff. We're just talking about the occultists at the top who've run the show and created the game that, again, continues to run the show, clearly. And clearly continues to do the same stuff. You guys, the stuff that we're exposing that's going on today, it's been going on this whole time. The authorities have been doing this kind of stuff the whole time. You can see this has been going on since the beginning of the nation. To make a point, for the person who's new here, the nation's capital didn't start in D.C., it started in Philadelphia. Look into what Washington, D.C. was before it became the federal government headquarters. It's where the Jesuits set up camp in America, the same Jesuits that a lot of the founders were worried about. You know, Georgetown, the first Jesuit university in the nation, established the same year George Washington becomes the first recognized U.S. president in the history books. Okay, so here, we'll finish this and then we'll actually come back to what they did yesterday in the Houston game after the death of DJ Hayden, because this is also the more spiritual side that we all need to consider, being aware of this knowledge, because it's that same number again in something that seems impossible to script. Again, that's the organic side of the code. But this game being set up, you guys, in the very rigged NFL, where just like the most bogus calls are made at the end of certain games to set up the scenario. It happened the other week with the Browns in Indianapolis, just some crazy calls to change the outcome of the game. Two just like top 10 worst calls in NFL history back to back to get this team to win the game. Everyone saw it, it's just like, come on. I mean, you're going to do that to help a team win? Two just crazy calls like that? Two totally game-changing calls when really you're calling penalties on things that had nothing to do with what would have been the outcome of that game. It's because it's all on the script, you guys. It's not an accident. Here, for those of you who forget, the Celtics... Here, let me see if I can get exactly how it was. It was the 76ers Celtics series. 76ers all-time playoff record through May 1st, 2023. Yep, that's what it was. So, for the person who's new here, the Illuminati founded in 1776, just like America, just like how home teams right now for the entire NFL season stay on 76 wins, losing in Germany where the Illuminati was founded. Okay. 76ers got their 247th win in the playoffs this year on... You see how it says before May 2nd? Because I wrote through May 1st, so it's the same thing. So this is what happened to their record on May 1st. The 76ers played the Celtics, and they were 13.5-point underdogs against the Celtics. We liked the 76ers to win a lot because they had several things lined up. Plus, they could get their 247th win in the playoffs on the day that the Illuminati turned 247 years old. And we've been exposing this stuff for years, like how this is who's running the show, this Jesuit Illuminati Masonic network. Big odds right here. And these are the kind of games you live for as a decoder because you're like, this just makes too much sense. This fits all the patterns and you got a huge value here. So anyhow, 76ers get the 247th win on the 247th birthday over the Celtics. And again, just a 13.5-point underdog, the Illuminati with 13 families. You talk about insider trading, like if you're rigging the game and you can make some nice payout on don't do it too obvious, but hey, tonight's the night to put in the big bet at the casino. Tonight's payout night. So, anyhow, the Illuminati in 76, we've been documenting things like this all through this period of time because the United States of America also turned 247 years old this year. Both born in 1776. But from then up through what they did today, it's clear it's all Illuminati tribute. Just like this is Illuminati tribute. And again, I mean, when you realize that they've been revealing the occult to you through Hollywood and entertainment and getting you to think those are just silly movie things and things of the past and witches back in the time of witch trials, you got to look at what it really is. These are the witches of our times. We're being governed over by the witches of our times who gather in temples that are largely secretive, whether it's the temple of Set or Satan or the Masonic temple where on a certain level it's cool and it's just family and people starting to learn things, but then you get to another level and now it's something else. It's people in high places who are using their privilege of secrecy and being in control of authority at the moment to do this continuously to us. I mean, and you have to start, like, I'm not one of these satanic creep shows that's doing this that feels like, oh, today I got to sacrifice 4 of my employees. Again, this is where the other channels that are talking about demonology and demons, and that's their big focus. I mean, for some reason, like for me, I guess in the same way some people don't like to look into Gematria because it gives them a feeling that they don't like. For me, it's like that way with demons. It's like, I don't doubt that there's demons out there. I don't want... But again, we've talked about this before with the horror movie that was put out. I think it's called Heredity. I think that's what it's called. But if you have not seen that movie, it's super creepy. It's probably the creepiest movie I've ever seen. Some horrific things happen in that movie, including a young child like totally getting decapitated. It's a messed up movie. But it's also about how this woman, she's using her own family to summon this demon. She's the grandma in the family. The rest of the younger family has no idea that she's part of this cult and they're trying to bring about this demon. Messed up movie, but also it's just like, I mean, there's a reason that they continually do this, is the point I'm trying to make. Is this how they feed their demon, the demon they believe in, that maybe they think that if they don't do this, they will lose power in the world? It's this kind of ritual that keeps them on top. These people who pose in front of the cameras and wear the sheriff's thing and then go gather like, look this up, you guys. This isn't conspiracy theory stuff. Go look up the articles written about when Antonin Scalia died on the 44th day of the year. Remember that? When Antonin Scalia died on the 44th day of the year and the time of number 44, and the right wing put out a conspiracy that Obama number 44 killed him. Again, these are rituals to get people caught up. But go look up the articles, because they said Antonin Scalia was hunting with his secret society pals down at the ranch in Texas near where Dick Cheney shot his lawyer friend in the face, supposedly by accident. And go look at the pictures. I mean, you got Antonin Scalia with all these guys who are in like hoods and robes. If you've ever seen that, what's the movie? The guy who died 666 days before 2001, Stanley Kubrick. He did 2001: A Space Odyssey. If you didn't know that, Stanley Kubrick died 666 days before 2001. Weird thing, but a lot of that though in Hollywood. A lot of that, you'd be amazed. Not just Hollywood too. It was the whole pandemic and people didn't even catch on. It was sad. The first COVID simulation exactly 666 days, if you want, before the pandemic was declared. The Mark 666, the mask, one letter off from Mark, which you had to have in a lot of places if you wanted to buy or sell, and the next thing you knew, it became the jab. But Pfizer, by the way, equals 44 in Gematria. Yeah, anyway, I'm skipping around and I'm losing my train of thought a little bit, but this Illuminati thing, this Freemason network, remember, that was one of the plans of the Illuminati, to hijack Freemasonry. See, that's what bothers me. My sister, she would just like cut it all off within 30 seconds of the video. She just couldn't handle it. And maybe for some people, you do have to be more sufficient with time and get to the point faster, which I'm not always the best at. But again, there's letters in the National Archives from George Washington and his concern about what the Illuminati might do to Freemasonry. Again, George Washington goes down in history as the Freemason that Washington, D.C. is named after. And again, he established this same... I always feel bad for the people who are here every day, but you see how Scottish Rite is 57, you guys? You see how Georgetown's 57? You see how George is 57? You see how England's 57? Moon's 57. The moon's important to them, but the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is what has its headquarters in D.C., the Masonic city named after George Washington, who took office at age 57, the same year that Georgetown, again, Georgetown's 57 like George, the same year Georgetown was established, the first Jesuit university. And if you look into the Scottish Rite, you'll see that their rites are written by Jesuit priests. The Scottish Rite came to power in Paris, France, where the Jesuit order was created. And they were the continuation of the Templars, and the Templars were burned at the stake in France. So it's almost like a FU in history. It's like we're back and we're badder than ever. But yeah, again, Jesuitism, Masonry, Illuminati, the Pope, the calendar, all of this stuff is perfectly related. The patterns are undeniable. Suicide in 34, something we've been talking about for so long. And you guys can go through all my old archive posts. Posts are getting taken down on my old site because it's now owned by Google. They bought Blogspot in the time I had it. But there's still a lot up there. If you searched for all the posts still up about suicide in 34, you'd be reading for a long, long time, going back many years. We have posts on GematriaEffect.news, and we also have posts on freetofindtruth.blogspot.com. Let me see if you can type in just suicide 34 and what'll all come up. The Aaron Hernandez thing, the day that the Patriots were at the White House getting congratulated for the Super Bowl. Yeah, I gotta figure out a way to tune up the search engine on my thing. I mean, it should just be pulling up just the 34 stuff, but it's pulling up more than that. Anyhow, there are. If you look, the posts are there. The archive posts, lots of them. Suicide, 34, big pattern going back forever. Here, let me try the older site and see if the search function works better real quick. Okay, here's a post from 2019, and it's going to go back a lot further than this, but the bodies were found Wednesday, August 7th, 2019. That's the day the Jesuits came out of suppression in history, just for the record. It was a date with 34 numerology. They're saying that that guy responsible committed suicide. And see, this is, oh yeah, I have the note about Epstein because Epstein committed 30, Epstein, here, look at this. You know, Epstein's a 34, and the same cipher is, and remember, everything about Epstein's by the numbers. It's way deeper than that. Recently, an associate of Epstein was found dead at address 201. They had to have that in the mainstream story. 201 always connected to all these serial killer stories, but suicide and Epstein, both 34. In Epstein, it wasn't just the name Gematria. There was a lot to it, including it being 34 days from his trial. So yeah, these posts are from 2019. Here's one from 2018. 2018, David Kelly, weapons inspector. He's dead on July 17th. That there's certain dates on the calendar that come up a lot. The Jesuit Order 177, New World Order 177. The word propaganda is 177, and the first use of propaganda was by the Catholic Church. If you look it up, these are all facts. They invented the word, and go back, go read how propaganda was used by the Catholic Church. It was to spread Christianity. The use of propaganda to spread Christianity is like, wow. Wow. I just saw this guy on my channel, or not on my channel, a guy that I followed for years. He'll occasionally leave a comment, say like, nice video, but he's never shared anything about my content on his own channel. I just thought, why can't a guy like this who appreciates the work, like, just drop at least something like one time? I'd even talk nicely about his channel several times, but then I saw this morning that he talked about his religion for the first time ever, and he's this super devout Christian, so I guarantee you it's right there. That's the reason he never shared the work, because he knows that we have a different spiritual belief. And I thought, oh, so he's always been that. That's interesting. He always kept that quiet. But at least he acknowledges the work that's good, but he could never share it. And at the end of the day, that's what religion does, right? That's the reason he never shared the work, because we're not in the same tribe. We don't have the same beliefs, so... Anyway, back on topic. Suicide is 47 backwards. That's another serious pattern with suicide. He's got the same birthday as Israel, this guy. This guy's suicide was hold on. I gotta go back and revisit this story. The other person related to this story, it was 34 weeks from his birthday that the suicide happened. Okay. Here's a post from 2014 about suicide in 34. 2014. September 10th, 2014, the day of this post. Porn star August Ames. Suicide. Remember, there was a whole bunch of suicides supposedly in the porn industry, like around the same time. It was just like it was like, wow, how many porn stars just died from suicide? I've never seen so many headlines like this. But 12, 5, 17, 12 plus 5 plus 17, 34, 34 date numerology, the day of this suicide. What year was this? 2017. 2017. Looks like the article was first posted on, I'm covering this on December 9th, and it's saying it was posted 2 days earlier, so the news probably broke on December 7th. And with regards to the Illuminati, you guys, Bavarian Illuminati, as a big number, 127. There's a reason buildings 1, 2, and 7 fell on New York. in New York City, and they called it the new Pearl Harbor, and Pearl Harbor happened on December 7th, 127, and there's a reason Hawaii burned up in a major 127 ritual this year on August 8th. Covered that in a big way back then. But hold on, let me close some of these windows. Yeah, there's a lot. There's that girl's name too, right there, August Ames. Right after I talk about it, so I didn't even realize that. So she it looks like the news would have broke December 7th in her porn star name, or is that a real name? August Ames 127 sounds like a porn star name. Kevin Moore is also part of the story, and his name is 127. Her husband was Kevin Moore. And that's what you start looking at how much this stuff happens. It's like, okay, what's going on? Is it an arranged marriage? Does Kevin Moore know his numbers? Is he born into the club? Did the industry name her August Ames and pair him up on purpose with the plans of, this happening? And then, that's part of their planned news cycle for December 7th. What year was it? 2017? What year did she get in the porn business? I should probably go back and look at that even more. That's the thing. Well, we knew a lot in 2017. This is the time when I wrote my first book. And you can see the poster detail back then. That Mercedes Grabowski. That's got to be a porn name too, right? Mercedes Grabowski. It's like grab ass. 177. We just said that. The Jesuit Order 177. Like how July 17th comes up a lot. A lot of rituals with that date. The Jesuit Order, again, 177, 201. We were just talking about yesterday where those numbers get paired together a lot. The leader of Event 201, Klaus Schwab, his name 177. State of Israel 201, its leader, Benjamin Netanyahu, 177. Captain Tom dead 201 days after being knighted on 17/7 by the Queen, who then died 201 days after a COVID diagnosis when that was the name of the COVID simulation, Event 201, led by Klaus Schwab. But hold up, I just want to go back and here, older posts. So I'm just making the point that we've been talking about suicide in 34 for a long time. So the oldest post we found so far is 2014. Isaac Cappy, let's see. Okay, here I just reminded that suicide and murder have the same gematria because they blamed his death on suicide as well. He died on the 86th day of his age. Big blood sacrifice, human sacrifice number. Both blood sacrifice and human sacrifice are 86. I must have been lazy that day. Sometimes I get tired of putting the same stuff up. But it takes time to take all the screenshots and make all the posts. Again, I don't think people appreciate how much time I put into this in the last 10 plus years. Building all these posts takes time, man. And so many have been deleted by Google, which really pisses me off, including some of the most important ones. So Paris Jackson was connected to this at the time. And her birthday can be written 3/4. They got to connect these people that got the numbers. You just see the same stuff over and over. Seth Green was connected. Seth Green's got the gematria suicide. Here's Epstein. Epstein's death, 38 days from July 8th trial, 7-8, right? Jesuits, 78. Scottish Rite, 78. 78 cards in the tarot deck. Tarot equals gematria equals English equals occult equals holiday equals this 7/4 nation's birthday. And the list goes on. But Epstein, 34 days from the trial when his name's like suicide. And we've been showing people the Epstein, see, that's what, there's this, okay. With regards to Lil Willie, Lil Willie, his things are, he asks cops if they know the First Amendment. He goes everywhere and screams about Epstein, and he gets a lot of really good interviews, which is impressive. Shout out to him for that. But it makes you wonder, it's like, how are these people doing these interviews with this guy? I can't get anyone to interview with me. He's has no following. That's all he does. He just goes up to cops asking the First Amendment. He's got everybody. Just makes you wonder. But I've been saying this whole part of the YouTubers that got popular with the whole Epstein thing. They're like, see, we were telling you about Epstein. And then just the whole thing was a psyop the whole time, which we were revealing. It's just, so many people just stay in that lane and they still continue to just talk about Epstein. Like Epstein's the epicenter of the world. And it feels like that way, right? Epstein, epicenter. For so many people, it's just their whole brand is built around that. Everything they talk about spirals out from that, the people connected to Epstein. And Epstein, his story doesn't make sense. He's a character invented for media, and for a while only carried on lesser media, not the mainstream. That's the thing. That's why, like, this thing that was brought into YouTube that now focuses on that, and a lot of them have built up credentials, and now they're here as permanent YouTubers because they were on the Epstein thing before the media covered it. Again, it's guys like Lil Willie. And it's like, see, I mean, does this guy really seem like he's about the truth at all? Or he says he's about the Federal Reserve and uncovering the Illuminati. It's like, we're doing that in a way that's never been done before and proving our point day in and day out. You can't share it at all. You can't acknowledge it. And then we had him on here, Lil Willie, to talk about it the other day. And, you know, Lil Willie, he just kept avoiding everything and going back to talking points to try and slander me or make it about my personal life. I don't got anything to have in my personal life. But I was just like, yo, I just want a little bit of privacy for sweet lady. Damn. Anyway. And that's the thing, too. I mean, he, instead of talking about what we were talking about, like, hey, I thought you were into exposing the Illuminati and the Federal Reserve. How about, what, you know, the murder of Bob Lee and the 201 ritual at that? And then the Fed Now currency goes live on the 201st day of the year? He's like, well, what about your sweet lady this? It's like, that's your response. I thought, okay, so you're not down to expose. You're a pretender. And what have I been telling you guys for years? That there's a lot of clicks on YouTube and seemingly a lot of people that link up and promote each other and have big fan bases and subscriber counts, but they'll never share this. And like I've been saying for a long time, I don't think they're really here about the truth. I think they're here because they got a little niche that they just stick to. Everything's about this. You know, everything's about transhumanism. Everything's about flat earth. Everything's about Bill Hicks is Alex Jones. This person's that person. It's like you look at all these channels that over the years they got big in the truth community. They did constant content on the same topic, promoted each other, collaborated together, all talk shit about me together, put down Gematria together, slandered me together. And again, people are coming at me saying, Zach, why you do videos like the other day? I do it for the people who have a clue, so maybe they can see, like, really, like, yeah, how it does look like there's operatives around here. I don't think Zach's tripping. You guys can think I'm tripping. That's fine. Have your own opinion, but I'm saying from my experience, from doing this for over so long and all the weirdos that have come in my life and people try to mess with me and all the shit that's happened, I feel like there's definitely infiltrators here, and they're doing it to distract people and mislead them and keep them in boxes and divided. Again, that's the name of the game always. Just get people to fight over nothing. Divide over nothing. Oh, by the way, Jeffrey Epstein, 163 in the most simple cipher, the 38th prime. And he died 163 days before his upcoming birthday on January 20th, 20/1 like 201, which is the 201st day of the nation's age every year when you measure from July 4th. Inauguration of the President of the United States, the official title from the government equals 201. Joe Biden with the Jesuit priest whose name equaled 201 doing the ceremony on Inauguration Day, plus he did the funeral for Beau Biden who died 201 days before the Pope's birthday. You know? Jorge Mario Bergoglio, 201. That's the Pope. The first ever Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, that's his name. First to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. Ignatius of Loyola, the first superior general, the founder of the Jesuits, 201. Ignatius Loyola, also 75. Again, Indianapolis, 201. Indianapolis Colts, 75. Today on the Superior General's 75th birthday. Again, they beat the Patriots. The team with the Jesuit Catholic connections beats the Patriots, keeping the all home teams on 76 wins. There's something about the home in Germany too, besides just the Illuminati. Because at the beginning of the nation, if you look into this nation's history, the majority of people who were here spoke German. And a lot of the overwhelming consensus is they wanted German to be the national language. Look it up. These aren't conspiracy theories these are facts. Look into the actual history of the nation. There was a time when the predominant language was German in American. And German in America. Anyway, it was made English. And again, we understand why it was made English. Once upon a time when I learned about these things when I was younger and I didn't know Gematria, I was like, I wonder why that was then. I mean, why not? It seems like it'd be easier to go German. Or is that like a sign that we didn't really get free from Britain? You know, you might have thought you got free from Britain because of what was written down in the books, which were putting out in English. You know, but you didn't really get free. You think you got free from London on 7-4? Free 74 like London. Try again like English is 74. Again like Gematria, like energy, right? All these things. Holiday, killing. 3 of the first 5 presidents dead on 7-4. Okay, I've been too much off topic. I got to get back to the point of DJ Hayden and his death yesterday. If you missed yesterday's video, we talked about how his birth name, Derek Sherrard Hayden, has this number 322 in it, right? 322 is like the source code, if you will, in a sense, for what everything comes back to and where the evidence of what's going on in the world is. There's a lot more beyond it, but it's the really a great place to start explaining what we're witnessing in the world and what these numbers mean and why a very infamous secret society identifies by 322. But Derek Sherrard Hayden, the man who died in the car crash, you missed yesterday's video, very quickly. His birthday is June 27th. DJ Hayden, who died. June 27th in Houston, where he's from, where he played for the Cougars, is DJ Screw Day. He has a song called June 27th. That day is associated with DJ Screw, who's a hip-hop legend from Houston. And there's not a lot from Houston. It's like him and Scarface. You could argue maybe a few other people, but anyhow, June 27th became June 27th for DJ Screw in the year 1996. And that was the day DJ Hayden turned 6 years old. He was born 90, June 27th. DJ Screw, DJ Hayden, Houston, rituals. But his 6th birthday, DJ Screw got his big payday. And that's why it's known, since 1996, that's why it's now known as DJ Screw Day in Houston. Again, DJ Hayden, that's his birthday. So, 6, he turned 6. The 6th planet is Saturn. Saturday is named after Saturn. Saturn's associated with the cult, it's Satan. Saturn's also associated with the Grim Reaper. That's why I played the Scarface song yesterday. Never seen a man cry until I seen a man die. And again, listen to the lyrics of that song. He talks about numbers coming up, the Grim Reaper. But Saturn's astrological symbol has the scythe, which is where the Grim Reaper scythe comes from. Saturn is associated with death. For years, we've been educated about Saturn and death, and the Illuminati, and Aleister Crowley, and Thelema, and what's going on in this world, and even what's encoded in the Bible, what it all comes back to, the way Jesus was killed. The Illuminati embracing this symbolism of the way Jesus was killed by a numerical pattern that fits all through one number, 93. Anyhow, 322 though. 322 is the focus. 93, if you're new here, that's why I've written books, you guys. You want to, if you're like, he didn't finish the thought, just read the books I've written. Because then they're logical and I don't lose my train of thought. And you learn about all the numbers that matter and what's going on. But back to this. Derek Sherrard Hayden, dead in this ritual. Oh, I know where I didn't finish. My bad. Again, his 6th birthday, from his death to DJ Screw's death anniversary, which is November 16th, November 11th, count it on your hand. One died on the 11th of November, the other died on the 16th. So count the days. 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. Did I just say 6? 16? 5, 6. Span of 6 days. 6 days between their deaths. And again, they said it was a 6 fatality car accident that DJ Hayden died in on Saturday, named after Saturn, the 6th planet. Their death days, the span is 6 days apart. Oh shoot, I forgot the one other piece of it. But essentially that is the main component. So now the 322. So on the day of his death, Houston's playing, right? And Houston did lose, you guys. We talked about how Houston, Texas equals 46, like sacrifice is 46, like how Genesis 46 begins with a sacrifice, and Genesis is the first of the 46 books of the Catholic Old Testament, when Catholic, again, is also 46. JFK, the nation's first Catholic president, was number 35 like Catholic, but killed at age 46. Again, Joe Biden lost his son at age 46 in the 201 ritual, gets inaugurated with the Jesuit priest as the 46th president, again in a big 201 ritual. Gets inaugurated on the Pope's 35th day of his age after being elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. That was Joe Biden. And these other numbers, again, we talk about them all the time. Everything going on in Israel is 71, 145, 35, 46. Like literally everything from the day it began up through now, through when the nation was created. And again, 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament Jewish section. What day was Israel created? The Jewish nation, 14/5. It was all being, planned and drawn up before UN approval around the time of 1946, the year after World War II began. The formation of Israel began with World War I and the Balfour Declaration. World War II brought the Balfour Declaration into realization. The World War ended in 45. Planning for Israel began in 46. The UN resolution in 47. Israel a nation in 48. Remember, Illuminati's 48, right? Freemasons 48, based in the Old Testament. Again, all this stuff's biblical. The Holy Bible's a big 201 too. But look at this, the DJ Hayden thing. We talked about how that DJ Screw album is 38 minutes long. The one that goes with the 6th birthday of DJ Hayden. We talked about how it was 38 minutes long, right? And we talked about how his name's 322 and how Harbaugh had just got busted 322 days after his birthday. He got suspended. And again, 322 goes to Yale Skull and Bones, and American football's credit to Walter Camp at Yale Skull and Bones. But also, Michigan, coached by Harbaugh, who's suspended. Next week on the 322nd day of the year, which is the anniversary of the death of the Illuminati founder, you have Michigan playing Maryland. Michigan plays Maryland in college football on the 322nd day of the year after Harbaugh just got in trouble 322 days after his birthday. It matters because Maryland is where his brother coaches in the NFL for the Baltimore Ravens. Remember, there was the Harbaugh Bowl in Super Bowl 47 where it was the first time two brothers coached against each other. And, 47's a biblical number. It's brother versus brother in a violent game. It's almost like a biblical simulation of Cain and Abel. And again, it was Super Bowl 47. Maryland equals 47. It's the most Catholic state in America. Vatican equals 47. Authorities 47. Government's 47. Very special number 47 if you're new here. Again, it's why we got the, what is 47 thing. It's a time number. It's authority number. And it's the reason the tropics of this earth that measure the solstices are 47 degrees apart. And the Masons logo for the Scottish Rite out of France is kicked out 47 degrees. But Super Bowl 47, the name John equals 47. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Christian 47, Vatican 47. Again, we understand the story of Christianity as we do because of the Bible, which is composed as it is because of the Catholic Church, the ultimate authority of the land. But anyway, 322, it's this biblical number. All of this stuff's biblical. Again, the man who died, his name is 322, okay? You look at the other numbers in his name. I'm going to write out ancient mystery religions, and I'm going to write out, I had actually the right letters, but in the wrong order. And I'm going to write out Abrahamic religions, and I just want to compare. You see how Derek Sherrard Hayden is 322 in the same cipher as Abrahamic religions and ancient mystery religions? Again, the Abrahamic religions are based in the Torah, the first 5 books of Moses. And for the record, there's 187 chapters. And again, Abrahamic's 187. And this man who died, DJ Hayden, his birthday is the day leaving 187 days left in the year. June 27th, which is also the date that connects to DJ Screw. June 27th, 178th day of the year, leaving 187 days remaining. Actually, I realized something that's going to take this even deeper if I can keep it all straight in my head. You see how Abrahamic is 38? You see how Kabbalah is 38? You see how the word Jew is 38. Again, this is considered Jewish mysticism at this day and age. And for the record, Jewish mysticism is 201. Just like the Jesuit Order, which is a Jewish Catholic alliance, just like the Holy Bible. And from the anniversary of DJ, I want to say DJ Slay. My mind is slipping. My goodness. Come on, Zach. DJ Hayden. From his draft anniversary to the death was a span of 201 days. And DJ Screw, his birthday is July 20th, the 201st day of the year. So, again, just to remind you of how repetitive the numbers are and how you can see, like, there's a reason these people are used in these Illuminati rituals that are based on these same numbers over and over, where it goes back to this form of Kabbalah, sorcery, spell casting. Here, I haven't made the point clear enough yet. I'm not doing a good job. Derek Sherrard Hayden, Kabbalah. We're bringing it all together, right? 322. The tree of life, the physical model for Kabbalah, it is one of the ancient mystery religions. Kabbalah is Hermeticism, Kundalini, alchemy. These are the ancient mystery religions. And I'd encourage everyone to read about and study these things. Not so that you become some occultist, but for the sake of knowledge and actually just being like, oh, that's interesting because that reminds me of this in the Bible. Again, people who've studied Hermeticism say, how can you deny the Hermetic influence on the Bible as we know it? Well, Hermeticism's really old. It goes back to like the oldest spiritualities of the world. And it's very logical and simple, but profound. And things you can just like think about and observe for the rest of your life and be like, okay, I think I just observed that Hermetic principle. Okay, that's where maybe I can gain something from this life experience. Not like to be manipulated, but like you learn something. You're like, oh, I did something wrong, and bam, just like instant karma. I see kind of exactly what I did, and I knew this was worse than... Again, read the Hermetic principles. They're super interesting. And again, Genesis 3:22. Let's get the verse Genesis 3:22 up here as well. Let's get the New International Version and the King James Version. Again, if you don't know these things, these are things you have to know. Like I hear people making videos right now trolling me, and it's like, okay, the things they're saying are blatantly false, so obviously they've never studied anything or read any of my books. But these are things I've laid down 1,000 times. I just don't lay them down in every video. In both the New International Version and the King James Version, you have different wording, but we're going to see how we have the same 322 Gematria translation, because we're getting to how important this number is and how it all goes back to Kabbalah, where there's a good half and an evil half. And what we're doing on this channel is exposing the evil half for the hope of getting people to see through the deception and the sorcery and the seemingly unbreakable spell over the minds of so many out here who just continue to listen to these authorities and not blink an eye and not question anything as they watch Thursday night football and the Bears win their first game of the season as Dick Butkus dies right before it. In the latest primetime special where this happens to a former NFL star. And again, it's just like it's some kind of that there's clearly some kind of spiritual wicked influence, whatever it is, however you want to perceive that, understand that, believe that, logically put it together. There's some kind of sorcery that is really going on that keeps people from not seeing it. So anyway, King James Version. And the Lord God said, behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. Tree of life. That is the physical model for Kabbalah that has 3 pillars and 22 paths. This is Genesis 3:22. Again, this is a main component of Jewish mysticism, Kabbalah. Gematria is a component of Kabbalah. The word Jewish equals 74, like occult, like Masonic, like English, like Gematria, like energy. The whole list we went through. Most simple cipher, just one cipher. Most simple cipher. It's called Simple English Gematria is its real name, and the word simple is 74. Just like English, like Gematria, like holiday, holy day, like Jesus is 74, like cross, like Messiah, like gospel, like parables, all in the same most simple cipher. But before you get to that, it's really right here. It's like, how can you deny that? There is a good and evil half to the Kabbalah tree of life. Look it up. These are facts. 3 pillars, 22 paths. That's how it's understood and explained within the tree of life. How could you think it's an accident? It's practiced within Judaism. This is the opening book of the original Abrahamic religion, the Jewish faith, the Hebrew faith, the Israelite faith, whatever you want to call it. You know, Jewish wasn't the old word, just like Jesus wasn't the old name, J, the new letter. But Isn't it amazing? Like, I wondered this forever. I thought about it. I was like, why is it that evil is 48 and why is tree 48? You know? I used to wonder that all the time. And I was like, oh, wow, it's because the language is like cursive, cursing, spells, spelling. They intended this. I mean, you guys, you think about it. It's beyond gematria. Language being used to literally destroy and manipulate people's lives. How many people signed a contract that they did not understand well enough, and it really had a terrible effect on their life? It could have ruined their life. You know, it was an active evil. It was a group of more educated, knowledgeable people who wrote those contracts that knew that they could manipulate the people with lesser knowledge to set up a world of man-made law, you know, where you signed on the line and now I own you as the greater man who had greater understanding of the language. See, a lot of people can comprehend that part of language and what I'm saying. They're like, yeah, that resonates more with me because that seems more like how the world is. You know what, you guys, that is the proper place to start maybe a conversation about gematria, just something logical like that. How language can be used to deceive people by more educated people using it as a weapon against ignorant people, if you will. Ignorance is not knowing. And you see that in America, there's a culture of not wanting to know. I already know everything. I graduated from high school. I know it all, man. I've been knowing it all since I was 15. There's nothing more I need to learn. Again, in life, you should always be learning, expanding your horizons. They say that's a good way to fight off dementia. More and more common, all this dementia and memory loss and brain problems. You got to use your mind like a Here, I think it's real, you guys. Our life is so easy and convenient, right? We can get up and hardly move and then drive 30 miles to work and sit in a chair all day, and we've covered 60 miles round trip by the end of the day. But we've only taken maybe 500 steps all day because we could sit almost all day, and that's what our lifestyle called for, and that's what the new job and environment was. But I lost my train of thought again. Oh yeah, in the same way people don't have to use their bodies, in a way, we hardly have to use our minds now. I mean, computers have made things so easy and quick, and you know, before you really wanted to go see the latest movie, you know, you had to go meet up with your friend, pick them up, your lady, your date, whatever, you know, go out to the theater. Now you can just go crash at somebody's couch and it's streaming right on the TV. And it's because you can stream it through the TV and it's not bad because everybody has nice TVs now that are inexpensive. I mean, isn't it amazing how expensive everything's gotten? But like, for people who don't know, a TV, if you wanted a big screen TV in the 90s, it costed more than a big screen today. And it was like 1,000 times worse. And the reason it cost more is because it was so heavy and big. So in a way, the technology figured out how to make it so small and efficient and transportable and how many you could get in a truck at a time. And that's how they keep costs way low. And again, it's just amazing how you look at like the TV and the computer from the 90s to now, how crazy more advanced it is. It's like, why haven't we seen improvements in anything else in this world, in this time, like this? But then you realize they want you in the screen. They want us in the screen. I'm guilty of that. In a way, maybe the thing that's the most wrong about what I do is that it makes people want to watch YouTube and screens more than they would otherwise. Because really, if we could just all break this screen world, just break the screen world, go back to socializing, being in society, not being consumed by the latest ding, dime, chime, update on our phone, breaking headline, terrorist attack, another shooting. I mean, they couldn't have done this to us in the 90s like how they do now. Because not everybody had screens everywhere. There weren't screens everywhere. And even the screens that were up, they were like, it's amazing looking at a picture from like the 80s now compared to now. It's like, man, it's amazing how far it came. But you realize that they wanted us in this screen world. And now they're telling us about Meta in 2030, right alongside Agenda 2030, to cut global emissions to zero. They want to be a lot closer to it. They want to be to it by 2030. Man, if they can get everybody to live in front of screens and virtual reality, and the only things on the roads are Amazon, zero carbon emission delivery vans. They're like, you know what? Yeah, we are down to one corporation, but hey, they keep things kind of fair for us. Prime Video streaming still affordable. I can still afford it with my weekly digital stipend. and we're living in Wall-E world. But if you guys haven't seen that movie, Wall-E, the most apocalyptic children's cartoon. Anyway, you can see that's where they're taking us to. And they'll get us there because the technology has such a grip on humanity. It's so powerful. It's so real now. I mean, and that's why, pornography was a thing when I was growing up. I was never influenced by pornography in any way in my life until the internet age. And then, like so many people, pornography is an easy thing to slip into in my teenage years. All my friends would have like the jerk off magazines. They'd figure out a way to get them from like the mini mart and stuff. And I just thought that was wrong. And I was like, nah, I don't want to do all that. But then I think back about it in hindsight, I'm like, how come I never wanted to do that? And I thought that was wrong. But then I allowed internet porn to slip into my life. And it's because it was so easy. That's why. If I wanted to go figure out a way to get from the mini mart, I had to shoulder tap somebody or find a clerk who's like, here, whatever, man, get out of here. Don't say anything. I sold that to you. I'm going to kick your ass. And I miss living in a world like that where you could do that. Nobody's going to do that anymore because you can get sued to everything nowadays. So it's like people weren't so serious. Why so serious? Everyone's watching Batman with why so serious, and now everything's so serious. Nothing's funny. That there's no room for anything outside of the approved speech by the authorities. Everything else is hate speech. It's happening fast, like a bad joke. But day after day, same old number ritual. Anyway, I got to get back to the point about DJ K. Slay. DJ Slay and DJ Hayden. This really is something so important, guys. We've talked about this so many times, and it always comes back to the same number on the sports field where we go, okay, is there like a real spiritual or magical, or however you want to put it, is there like a real, it's hermetic, it's the vibration. It really is the spells and the spelling. Is there really something flowing that makes this kind of stuff keep happening? Because how do you get the score? I need to watch the highlight. We know they can adjust by a second or two, but let's say that they even flexed a second to get it to 3-2-2, which we've seen them do stuff like that before. But it's so damn perfect to make this happen. And it's the 38th points of the game. And again, earlier in the day, we're talking about 3-2-2 and the Tree of Life and Kabbalah. And again, remember, you guys, we're talking about the DJ Slay album that's 38 minutes, but Kabbalah's got that 38. And remember, it's a fateful number. Death is 38. Again, Jews 38. The word Africa's 38. And you got to think about English, the language of the world, where the colonization and torment of this nation and all the needless death and slavery and all this. Africa has this 38. The word that a hip-hop industry made just everywhere in culture through a form of music that just went huge overnight, this word that was developed from hip-hop culture has that 38 encoding, right? And we know like nearly every rapper who's ever been killed in a suspicious way, it's been about 38. Eventually, Jonathan and I are going to finish our books. It's becoming a bad joke at this point, but it will happen, and Jonathan is working on his book 38 special. But murder, again, is 38. Killing's 38. R.I.P.'s 38. Back to murder. Murder's 38 and 83. The song Murder by Numbers by the Police came out in 83. The song about how killing is the sport of the elected. It's as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3. And again, how once you develop the taste for it, you should try some more. You should try killing more people at once. See how clever you can get with it. Because murder is like anything you take to. It's a habit-forming need for more and more. You can bump off every member of your family and anybody else you find a bore. That's the 4th verse. It's how deadly it gets. Now it's just an addiction. It's like for fun. It's a sport. How about 4 suicides? You think we can get away with it in the LA County's office? I mean, what if it's that sad of a conversation in the occultist office who planned this shit for the headlines? Like, you think we can get away with that one? They're like, hell yeah, we can get away with it, man. We just got away with COVID. We can get away with anything. Do you forget we got away with 9/11, man? We can tell them a man lives in the cave. They'll believe anything. Anything. Let's try it tomorrow. Let's say 44 motherfuckers came in and shot themselves in the head tomorrow in the sheriff's office. Let's try it. I bet we'll get away with it. You know what's sad? They would. That could be the headline tomorrow. Robert Lunar's office, 44 motherfuckers. They could put motherfuckers in the headline. Committed suicide, was shot to the head. Gavin Newsom calls for immediate gun ban for everyone. except for police officers. You know, be 44 days, probably from his birthday, the day they did it. That's what's so maddening, man. But yeah, there is a spiritual component to this. Because here, let me tell you about the history of 3-2-2 in sports if you don't know about it. I want you to go back and look up the headline, or not the headline. I want you to go back and look at the highlight of Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns getting his nose busted. I think it got broken. Blood all over in the playoffs. The impact and collision and injury happens right at 3-2-2. And I don't know how you script something like this, but the reason it's so interesting is because that night, the night it happened, something you'd just never seen in all your years of watching basketball. You've never seen anything like it. The owner's wife is sitting courtside with a picture of Steve Nash with a bloody face and a broken nose. She's just sitting courtside wearing this white t-shirt with this huge graphic of that on it. And then this happens to Devin Booker with 3:22 on the clock. There was more to the ritual than that. But another just massive one. There's been other ones. But the other massive one is Alex Smith. He was playing for Washington at the time. And the date was the 322nd day of the year. Just like how we got November 18th coming up, the 322nd day of the year, the day the founder of the Illuminati died. And the Illuminati's mentor, his Jesuit adoptive father priest, his name in Gematria is 322. Just big boss number. Again, skull and bones, order 322. They say it's because of some philosophers that died in the year 322. And that's probably also true, because look up who those philosophers were, some big names. And, but yeah, it's biblical. And skull and bones is Templars, which is Catholic Church. So, of course, they're biblical too. But yeah, 38 goes with Kabbalah, right? Kabbalah goes with 3 pillars, 22 paths, which goes with the Bible, which goes with Abrahamic, which goes with the Houston Cougars falling to 4 and 6, like Genesis 46, Sacrifice 46. Again, George Floyd at age 46 in a major Catholic ritual. You guys remember how they pulled George Floyd out of a Mercedes-Benz ML 320, Germany, where the Illuminati's founded? And then they killed him in front of Police Cruiser 320. Remember that? You can look it up if you don't remember that. It's true. But Roman Catholic Church, 320, okay? Roman Catholic Church, 320. They've been celebrating the sun's birthday since 320 AD on 1225. The sun, Jesus Christ. When they also celebrate the sun in the sky's birthday on 1225, the Catholic Church. That's been since 274 AD, 46 years before 320, when Jesus Hominum Salvator is 274. Anyway, Minneapolis, it's Interstate 94 that runs through Minneapolis. 193 is the 44th prime. Minneapolis is on the 44th parallel. Derek Chauvin, who killed 46-year-old George Floyd, was 44 years old. And supposedly they worked together as bouncers at a bar. That was part of the story, which is also weird. But George Floyd was in the porn industry. And anyway, 93. Here, the George Floyd ritual. I'm going to make this point because we're talking how it all comes back to the Bible and Illuminati and how they're doing this over and over with numbers that pay tribute to who's doing it. The Catholic Church. Who serves them? The Jesuits. What's the Illuminati? Founded by a Jesuit. We're on the Roman Catholic Church's calendar. Everything, we're in the age. We're on a calendar that's in tune with the life of Jesus. Constant rituals and tributes to this belief, these faiths, this history, this division from it, over and over. Little rituals, little riddles, just like how Jesus spoke in riddles. But Minneapolis, Minnesota is 93. It's on the 93rd meridian west and the 44th parallel. Notice how the word triclavianism, this is how the Romans crucified people, including Jesus, with the 3 nails. That's why in the Jesuit logo you have the 3 nails. Triclavianism is 93. It's also 201, like the Jesuit order. It's also 93, like Order of Illuminati, and 150, like Illuminati. And again, the sun illuminates all things, and the sun is 150 million miles away on average. Remember, heliocentrism is 150 and 201. The model that says the sun's at the center of it all. Order of Illuminati is 93. They say the sun is 93 million miles away or 150 million kilometers away, in case I misspoke. The sun's 150 million kilometers away or 93 million miles away. Alec Baldwin, born on the 93rd day of the year, shot the Ukrainian woman in the church shootout scene on the set of Rust right before Ukraine-Russia, 201 days after his birthday. And they said he shot her at 1:50 p.m. local time. Illuminati 150, Order of Illuminati 20193. Bruce Lee died on the 201st day of the year filming Game of Death. Brandon Lee died in a major ritual on the set of The Crow and then was buried on the 93rd day of 93, which was Alec Baldwin's 35th birthday. And there's a reason it was 35. Eric, his character from The Crow, is 35. Bruce Lee's 35. Catholics 35. Again, there's a reason for all this. But the Illuminati in 93 in the Bible. The 930th chapter of the Bible is where the Christian section begins, the story of Jesus and his crucifixion. And in Sumerian Gematria, which is just multiplying the alphabetic order times 6, Christianity is 930. But notice the word crucifix is 93, like God's Son is 93, like Nazareth is 93. Jesus from Nazareth, crucified on the cross. His birthday celebrated on the solar man's birthday, 1225. The pagans who used the cross to symbolize the 4 seasons and the sun in the middle, like how the sun dictates the seasons. But the pagans call it the birthday of the solar man. And the Catholic Church began as a pagan cult. And then they became Christian as well to recruit more people. And then they published a letter many years later about spreading propaganda to spread the story of Christianity. Again, look it up, you guys. These aren't false statements. And for the record, the word propaganda is also 93. You know, what's a nice story that relates with human beings to get them to believe in a story about God? Man, personify God. Make God super relatable. Yeah. God's, again, all you got to do, listen, you're going to get the eternal afterlife. All you got to do, it's easy. You just put a little money right here. Or you don't have money? Okay, we'll take your daughters over there. Your daughters will do fine. Actually, he's into little boys. We'll take your boys too. So all you got to do is give us that, and then we'll promise you the eternal afterlife. And look, you can have one of these amazing things that we wrote that you can't read, and just to show you how great we are. And all you got to do is believe in this story, that God sent his son to earth to die on the cross for your sins so you can be a bad person, and just keep giving us, we come back for more and more. And keep believing in that, and the afterlife is yours. And that's kind of how the Catholic Church worked. And then when that wasn't working as well, then they figured out a way to assess fees and penalties, and that's why the 95 Thesis was written, leading to the Protestant Reformation, which led to the Jesuits being created 201 months after the Protestant Reformation began, if you can believe it. Just like how Martin Luther wrote the 95 Theses, and Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated on the 95th day of the year, and the nation's first major gun control came 201 days later. Again, propaganda is 177, New World Order is 177, the Jesuit Order is 177, 201. Again, we talked about how these numbers come together, as we have many a times. But yeah, with regards to the Illuminati, the Jesuit priest who raised the founder of the Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt, was Johann Adam von Eichstatt. And notice his name, you guys. 322, right? 322. Adam Weishaupt amazingly ends up dying in history. And this is the way it goes down in the history books. Maybe it's not even true. It's a perfect ritual, though. He dies on the 322nd day of the year, 201 days from the anniversary of the Illuminati's establishment on May 1st. May 1st, 1776, Illuminati's birthday. November 18th, 1830 is death date. 201 days. And remember, 322 is Kabbalah. Kabbalah is Jewish mysticism, which is 201. Like the Jesuit order, which he was Jesuit trained, raised by a Jesuit priest. Like Order of Illuminati. I mean, like the Holy Bible. Like Genesis 3:22. I mean, how could it not be this way? And then finding, there's a book out there. There's an author who goes by a pen name, Wade Coleman, 201, right? It's not his real name. He says it's his pen name. He doesn't reveal his real name. But this man, hold on, the computer is malfunctioning. computer is malfunctioning. Snap. I'm not sure we're still connected. Am I still connected, you guys? Because the computer's doing something crazy right now. I don't know that we're still connected. Huh. I don't get very fast responses back on the comments this way. Normally it's more snappy unless nobody's out there. You can hear me fine? If the computer crashes, I'll come back. It might go all black or give you the spinning wheel. It's because it disconnected. It's just something is clearly wrong. Things are flashing. Something's wrong with the computer. So, but since you can still hear me, Wade Coleman, he wrote this book, The Sapphire Sapphires. Shout out to Jeremy White, longtime member of the community. Like I always say, if every Christian was like Jeremy White, you'd never hear me ever say a bad thing about Christians. In fact, I'd probably be one if every Christian was like Jeremy White. But it's the people of that faith who deterred me from it as a young child. And again, I ultimately don't think it is right. I think you can tell if you're good or evil. You should be on the fight of good. You should be living a life of service. You should be about more than yourself. You shouldn't just be about materialism. You know, anyway. Shout out to Jeremy White. But he showed me this book, Sapphire Sapphires, and in it, Wade Coleman talks about how in Hebrew, 201 is the number associated with light. Light is knowledge. When I saw that, I was like, I wonder what the phrase knowledge is power equals. And I couldn't believe it. But then I was like, that's crazy. Knowledge is power is 201. To the occult, knowledge is light. It's like, I guess they could, if knowledge is power didn't equal 201, maybe we would know that phrase a different way. Like, it could be like, knowledge is key. Like, we might just all say knowledge is key, but you see, it's not 201, right? Everybody knows the phrase knowledge is power. It's got other magic numbers in there, too. You see how it's 201 and 231? Ignatius of Loyola, 201, 231. 231 is the 21st triangular number. Jesuits, 21. You see how Jesuits, 84 and 78. Knowledge is power is also that. 78 cards in the tarot deck. The occultists, hoarding the knowledge. Again, remember, that's what occult means. It means hidden. Hidden right in front of us. It's just simple. Occult, 74. English, 74. Gematria, 74. I mean, energy, come on. The list just goes on and on and on. Holiday. The rituals, it's not just that this nation's birthday is 7-4. It's not that just 3 of the first 5 presidents died on 7-4. It's things like how George Washington, it was 74 years to the day of his Thanksgiving that Lincoln made it a holiday. 74 years to the day. You know, it's been going on and on and on and on. So I can't believe that we haven't crashed. The computer is just tweaking out here, but we're staying afloat. Let me say thank you to the super chatters in case this does crash any second. I don't know how the computer's not crashing. In the past when I've seen it do this, the computer just like shuts down. So, but thank you again, Nathan. Always generous. Shout out to Disambiguation. Sub his channel, you guys. If you're not on his channel, he's always uploading good videos. Keep it up. Thank you, Nathan. And thank you again, Rick James, Mr. Generous. Shout out to Blue Blue. It's me, NYC Informer. Thank you, Zach, for your work. Thank you very much for your generosity. And thank you ×2. And thank you to congrats to the winners. Prosser, Washington. Yeah, we've talked about that before. Elon Musk has his thing out here as well. And the Masonic launch here is 1229, the 201st prime. So a very interesting place is this. GematriaEffectNews 22 got the strike, so that's why I cannot stream on there. GematriaEffectNews 22 is suspended for a video that's a year and a half old. YouTube's favorite gimmick to take down channels for old videos. So. But yeah, here's what I forgot to do. The encoding of these verses. So Genesis 3:22, New International Version. The part of the verse up through knowing good and evil, because you can see there's punctuation there. So the first sentence of the verse, you take the gematria of that in the New International Version. Gematria of 3:22. You go to the King James Version, which has different wording, but through the same part of the verse, through knowing good and evil, where the punctuation is. Again, the tree of life, 3 pillars, 22 paths, Genesis 3:22, a good half, an evil half. Look at the King James Version of the wording. 322 in the same cipher. It changes in the other ciphers, but it's 322 in the same one that the other one is 322. See? And again, things that we talk about, these things are in my book that I wrote in 2017. When I found all these things back then, and our understanding wasn't nearly as deep in 2017, but we knew a lot, and very provable things that people needed to recognize about the ritualism taking place and how this is all biblical. I mean, it just makes so much sense, you guys. Printed Bibles, numbered Bibles. That was the same time the calendars get named after the Pope, the same time English is being standardized. All these things happened in a relatively short period of time. And again, the Bible was the technology of the time. Nobody knew how to print a book before like that, mass produce a book like that. It was unheard of. It was unreal. I mean, that's how you show that you're of God. Look, we got God's truth. Look at our technology. And just to always be fair, maybe that is proof that these people are the chosen ones. This Catholic-Jewish alliance, they're the chosen ones. The Jesuits are the chosen ones. They're running the world after all. They're still in control of the technology. They run all of big tech. That's how you learn this code. You see all the 201 rituals. For any Google employees out there, when you guys all got mass laid off through email, that was a nice 201 ritual from Sundar Pichai, Mr. 201. Again, Google celebrates their birthday on September 27th, the day the Jesuits are recognized by Roman history. Same numbers are all over big tech. R.I.P. Steve Jobs, dead in the major Jesuit ritual. Now Steve Wozniak's on the chopping block, who Jobs' death was once synced up with. Jobs died at age 56 days after Wozniak's birthday. About the coldest number there is with the Jesuits. Right now you got Gavin Newsom out there in California, 56 years old. See what happens for Gavin at age 56, the same man who locked down, the first guy to lock down his state over the cooties. The cooties, the real name for it, equals 56. Just like the jab for it, its name equals 56, like the million other 56 rituals. But never forget, Gavin Newsom, 56% of you are going to get the cooties in 8 weeks. That's what he said, except for he didn't say cooties. 8 weeks is 56 days. 56% in 56 days. Say it isn't so. And again, it just all being biblical. George Washington equals 74 like Jesus Christ. Somebody left a nasty comment for me I love when people leave nasty comments that actually make me look into something more, and then it helps the research. So thank you for your nasty comment, but it was something like, I'm a fraud, narcissist, who doesn't believe in Jesus, and the painting of George Washington in the clouds has nothing to do with Jesus. It has everything to do with Zeus. And I thought, God, I mean, look at that comment. I'm a horrible, shill, loser narcissist who doesn't believe in Jesus, who's so dumb he didn't look it up to see that it's about Zeus and not Jesus. I mean, this is like the people we're dealing with. It's like you don't know what the definition of a narcissist is. Stop using narcissist, America. Most of you don't know what the word means. Narcissists don't get online and teach knowledge to try and elevate people every day for 5 years straight without making a penny. And they don't continue to do it at the lackluster rate of what's received back for what's put out for another more than 5 years as we've been doing. Taking more abuse than anything else day after day. But doing it because we know it needs to be done. And when I say we, I mean the good people in the community and myself who all contribute, who all get kind of the same, scorn from society. The same society that just believes whatever the authorities say. Like, oh yeah, sure, 4 suicides today. Yep, makes sense. 4 suicides at the sheriff's office. I'm sure it was just like that. But again, for the genius who doesn't know what narcissist means and also doesn't know where the name Jesus comes from, it comes from Jupiter, Zeus. Do you not realize that Zeus is Greek and the New Testament was written in Greek and there's so much Greek influence? The greatest mathematicians, what's the first book of the New Testament? Matthew. Again, what's Matthew equal in Gematria? 27. How many books are there in the New Testament? 27. What's the word math equal? 42 and 66. Just like New Testament equals 42 and 66, the New Testament begins with the 42 generations of Jesus and Matthew. And it ends with the 66th book in Protestant books. How many chapters in Luke? Or hold on. No. The point that I want to make slipped through my mind right now. It doesn't matter. The Bible's just so full of numbers, you guys. For example, in the beginning is what Genesis means. You see how it equals 137? That's the 33rd prime number. Genesis is 33, like Bible. the Bible, a book made for man. The Wu-Tang Connection, what is it? Basic instructions. I forget exactly what they do. Make the acronym. It's not really that, but it's clever and it makes sense because I mean it's a book for man to understand his connection with Creator, what he must do for a good life, for a good afterlife, for the well-being of his family. I mean, there's a lot of knowledge in the Bible, and I think if people read the Bible and took the good parts, I think the world would be better off for it. And that goes for other spiritual texts too. But we know that the wicked people are using this Bible like a playbook to make fun of us, like how the Tower of Babel that divides the world ends in Genesis 11:9. So what day do the World Trade Centers come down on? The 11th day of the 9th month. And then it's blamed, some people blame the Jews, some people blame the Muslims. Everyone's blaming everybody. The Abrahamic religions are divided. 9/11 went into motion in 1968. The whole plan for that, 33 years before it all came down in New York, in a FF, by a secret society. Masonry, secrecy, order, federal, New York, all these things are 33, right? The Fraternal Order of Police. Yesterday, what was it with the police? Big 33 ritual. They come so often, you can't remember from day. I'm starting to have the United States of Amnesia syndrome. But anyway, for the person who comes at me with, I'm a moron and I'm a bad person and I'm beneath you because you believe in Jesus, and then you say that if I wasn't such an idiot, I would know that it was a tribute to Zeus. It's like, well, I mean, how much of a distinction really is there here between Zeus and Jesus? Zeus is God. Jesus is the son of God, so he's essentially God. In astrology, Jupiter is Zeus, thus the name Jesus. Do you guys remember the ritual they did with Jupiter the other year on the 4th of July? Here, for the person who thinks I'm an idiot narcissist, see, this is the problem with people who don't understand vocabulary or the meaning of words. They think I'm a narcissist because I'm defending my point of view and firing shots back at the people just like him or her, whoever it is. For years, I've said all these people come at me nastily because I've been honest about my religion. I wasn't mean to people about religion at first, and I still try not to be, but sometimes I just get so provoked because it's so annoying, and there's so many shitty religious people who think they're so smart, but they don't really know anything. They're just dumb people. They think they know what they're talking about. They're regurgitating the terminology today. Oh, I heard somebody else call a person they didn't like a narcissist, so I'm going to start calling this person a narcissist. Narcissists don't care about other people. Have you seen how I conduct myself in person? It's different than online. Online, I do it in a way to hold people's attention span. Out in the flesh, the only time you see me talking shit like this is when people come up to me and talk shit. And I do talk shit out in person when that happens, but it has to be instigated. I'm cool with everybody else. And people come up and give me a hard time. Sometimes it's funny. I play along with them. I don't get mad. But when somebody comes and get nasty and say something, I get nasty back. And a lot of religious people provoke the nasty in me. And I have a lot of nasty in me. I grew up around a rough family. My own immediate family, the siblings, rough, tough people from a different time. A lot of us did. It wasn't just me. But it's just like, people like my old family don't exist anymore in this new PC marshmallow society they made. And all things good and bad. I mean, it's not good to tolerate abuse either, like verbal abuse from your family. But in a way, it also toughens you up. It makes you not such a sissy, if you will. Anyway. These people like this, again, their whole basis of their ignorance is from their religion. They think because, I'm not a Jesus freak like them. Somebody who just blindly believes in the stories handed down to me by the. I mean, look at that. It's like I love these Christians who question everything in the world, the shape, everything. Everything is backwards. Everything's the exact opposite that they learned except for their religion. When again, the founders were trying to escape the Catholic Church that was the religion of Europe. It was the government of Europe. That's why Europe equals Catholic in Gematria. Europe, Catholic, Holy See, Jesuitism, all 35, like JFK, the first Catholic, president number 35. But remember, Greeks, Romans, right? So the New Testament's written in Greek. The Romans, they had the sun god. Oh my God. What's the Roman sun god? What's wrong with me right now? Mithra. And you remember how we were talking about a solar man's 93 and all the 93s with Jesus and the sun being 93 million miles away on average? Look at Mithra. Mithra is 93. This just goes on and on and on, you guys. That's why Aleister Crowley, he goes down in the history books for inventing this religion, worshiping number 93. Please. Was Aleister Crowley alive? Unless Aleister Crowley's a reincarnation and he is from the biblical times and he's this evil serpent figure. And remember, it's the number also associated with Saturn, which is associated with Satan. But and Aleister Crowley, with his 93 religion and Thelema, is associated with the satanic. Some people say he's the wickedest man that ever lived. From England, English. He wrote books about gematria. I mean, anyway. Here, I was gonna get up the post about the ritual they did with. This is one of my this is still one of my favorite things. I think about all the posts they've deleted, and I'm amazed they haven't deleted this one yet. Maybe they just take so much pride in it. They're like, we can't delete that one. It was so good. It needs to be archived somewhere on the internet. So, let's see. July 4th, Jupiter, Juno. Who remembers this? Who remembers this one? 2016. We're going back to before Donald Trump was president of the United States. Back when he was like pounding on his chest, making fun of disabled people. You're like, how are they going to make this guy the president? The numbers are there, the ritual's there, but oh my God, it's like a third grader is going to be U.S. president. Like, holy shit, it happened. I guess it makes sense. We're like a nation of children, all waiting for daddy government to come take care of us and tell us what to think every day. How dare you disagree with daddy government and their opinion today, you conspiracy theorists. But look at this, you guys. Welcome to Jupiter in July, and this is a holiday that was created back in the time of the Romans. Roman equals 74, by the way, just like holiday and Independence Day. But this is one of the best July 4th jokes ever. This was Google's doodle that day. On the day, this is the tribute to Juno on the 4th day of the 7th month, right? Or 7th month, 4th day. But Goy. Hi, Goy. Hey, Goy. How about the Jupiter probe in July named Juno? Huh? What do you think about it, Goy? You know what I mean? Oh, funny, there's that welcome to Jupiter, which equals 75, like New World Order, like Catholic Church. Remember, the New York Times, which has always been run by Jesuits, their headline, October 6, 1940, was the date with 75 numerology, and it said New World Order pledged to Jews. And then the day after the anniversary of that article, the war begins in Israel, while Israel's 75 years old. And today, the Superior General's 75, and again, that whole thing popped off, synced up with the Pope and the Superior General. But this updated headline was from July 5th. The probe landing was July 4th. And here's the thing about the word Goy. Again, this is back before the Gematria calculator existed. This is the old website. But it's the most simple cipher. Goy. Goy on the 4th day of the 7th month. But Goy, judge, gavel, obey, Christian authority, just special number, just things we repeated all the time, just where these numbers go with authority and time. And somehow on there I forgot to put time. Time's 47, just like the tropics of the earth are 47 degrees. And what is a Goy? It's a Jewish name for a non-Jew. Oh, it's funny. It's funny, man. I mean, America's considered mostly a Christian nation, and I don't know if you ever heard some rabbis talk, but some rabbis, like, you should hear what they say about the New Testament. They're like, it's a plagiarized bullshit book stapled onto the back of our book, riding on the coattails of our legitimate religion, these Christian fakers. And that's what religion does. It just creates division. But you listen to him and you're like, well, he kind of has an argument, right? I mean, because the Jews did do it. The Jews made the Old Testament in the book, and then the New Testament came and was stapled on, and then they figured out how to mass print the book. The Catholic Church did. But, again, all the 47 words. Authority 47, government 47. Again, time is the ultimate authority, right? Vatican 47, news 47. The news is the authority. Isn't that the way it is? I mean, it's just another authority. If you're not going along with what the news says, there's something wrong with you in our mainstream society. Our mainstream Christian society, our authority-respecting society where we don't question the authorities. Look at that, that's a good Christian man. I saw him swearing on the Bible. I saw him take the oath. He has to be a good man. You know what I mean? But, yeah, like, how do you guys watch my videos and you accept everything, but you're like, oh, but no way, you're wrong about Christian. That part's just a coincidence. It's like, I just saw a guy upload a video this morning defending why he's going to keep using the name Jesus, and he doesn't like when people tell him it's the false name. He's been watching this channel for a long time, too. See, he wants to use the knowledge for everything but what he learned as a little kid. I've been calling him Jesus since I was a little kid. Yeah, the morning star, just like Lucifer. Both 74, like a cult, like Masonic. Like how they use a Lucifer in the Masonic texts. Like how they got Masonic Bibles. English. Where was modern Freemasonry made? In London. All these 74s, right? Gematria, the killing name. The 74th day, do you remember the killing of Caesar by stabbing another 74 word, you know? Use the numerology way. Independence Day, 74. How are three of the first, you know what I mean? You know what I'm going to say already? All the presidents dead. Caesar. All the other rituals. Over and over. Kobe in the 74 season. Moses Malone, the parallel, drafted in 74. MJ's father on the side of Interstate 74 and a million others. How can a person come at me watching this channel after all these years and be like, you're a dumbass. It's Jupiter and Zeus, not Jesus. It's like, I mean, is it even possible for that to come out of someone's mouth? Like, is it like, I feel like those things right there, they're so close in the brain that there should be a connection just instantly without somebody having to tell you. Like, it should just happen. Greek, Christianity, New Testament, Jesus, Jupiter, Zeus. I mean, like, how isn't it happening? How can you come here and leave that comment? So it just gets tired of just like, it feels like all that's in society for the most part. There's like 5% of us in humanity are decent people, and the rest are just a bunch of morons. Yeah, sure, you might have achieved something by going through the school system and jumped through hoops. Now you got a good paying job. Doesn't mean you're a smart person or in touch with anything. And by the way, I jumped through the hoops and went through the school system and got a good job. I have a master's degree. But I know a lot of people I went to school with that are complete morons. So, and they have the same degree and are getting paid well because they stayed in the industry, you know. But one of my rules in life is never be a sellout. Keep doing stuff that feels true, authentic. And there's times where I sold out, like in my early 20s out of college, and I was sold out for about a year and a half, and that was just too much for me. I was done with that. And again, that's the story of dropping out of real estate where I was making really good money in a corrupt industry and going to work for minimum wage in a group home to redeem my soul. I feel like those are the kind of things we should do as spiritual people. Okay, I know I've been sinning, doing something just for money. These are things I told myself I would never do, but now I'm here and I'm an adult and I got bills to pay and there's temptation and the girls start flirting with you at the bank when they see the money in your bank account. And sadly, that's the world we live in, you guys. Those are the things that influenced me at the time I was being bad. It's like, look at this. I got 3 girls flirting with me, and I think it has something to do with what's in the account popping up on the screen at a young age, you know? So, you know, you're making a deposit like, oh, I can't make this big. I got to get the manager. And now you got 3 girls, and they're flirting with you, and they're like, oh, I think you look like Ryan Gosling. And again, this is why the world gets corrupted, right? You're doing something that you know's not right. You're getting good money. Your family's you're going home, and that's the way it was too. I was talking to my family. I was like, I don't feel right about what I'm doing. They're like, but Zach, this is a great job. I mean, you like it in a way because it's easy for you. It pays well. That's how people think in our society. I did it for a year and a half, and then I felt like I had sold my soul. So I said, I remember that day. My boss is in Seattle. I ran the office in Portland. And he drove down from Seattle that day, and he begged me, and he bribed me, and he said he'd do this and this and this. And he was a cool guy. You know, he was corrupt as hell. He was like the nicest Mormon guy in the world. When I got in the car with him, he'd start ranting about how bad Jehovah's Witnesses were, which I thought was so funny because he was Mormon. But, you know, he was corrupt as hell, just like everybody in this real estate industry. And, again, you justify doing bad things because society permits it. Your family tells you, hey, you're making a good living right now. You know, enjoy it. But no, I feel like the way I thought, even though I got ridicule from it, that's the thing. I got my sister to kind of like disrespect me for doing what I did, which I thought man, I feel like I should get some respect. Quitting a well-paying corrupt job to work for minimum wage to do nice things for kids in need. And I went back to school to learn to teach because I knew I wanted to work with kids. I was like, I don't want to do anything else for money in the money world just for money. I don't ever want to make this mistake again. It's not worth it. I feel like a bad person. And people couldn't resonate with me. They're like, your job's not that bad. People are doing worse things than that. What was I doing? To clarify what I was doing, I was falsifying the values of homes for appraisals like every other appraiser was doing in the whole industry. And that was also the justification. If I wasn't doing it, somebody else would be doing it. And I actually tried to quit probably about 6 months into the job for the same reason. And my boss did talk to me then, and he got me to hang around, and he gave me some more. And it worked the first time. But the second time I quit, he couldn't talk me out of it. And I was a big loss for him because I was a huge generator for him. I was very efficient with my reports. He would literally say that I made more for him in the Portland office, which I ran with one other person, and than his bigger operation in Seattle, where he had 2 offices and 10 employees. So me and one other guy, shout out to Tom if he's out there, we were more efficient than... Anyway, but to me, I always think that's one of the worst things I did in life. Just stayed with the job for a year and a half when I knew it was no good 6 months in. And, but yeah, I mean, the justifications were true. If I quit it, somebody else would just fill in the spot on the same. Okay, I think I'm back. I knew it was going to disconnect. The computer was just tripping out for a long time. That's the longest I've ever seen it trip out and not crash. I always wonder what really happens when that goes on. It's like, I'm not getting hacked, am I? Yeah, I don't know exactly when your video froze, but I know when my computer crashed, I had to wait for it to restart. So again, I'm just saying, I feel like the choice that I made as a young person, I got crucified for that decision. And, I'm getting crucified by my mom and my sister, who are these Christians who insisted I believe just like them. And it's just like, okay, so that's kind of like how it's, these are the things that shape my worldview. Because I'm like, okay, my mom and my sister are like very mainstream. They're into religion. They're into politics. They're into consumerism. Like, to me, it's like they don't connect the dots of like their own spiritual beliefs. They should, they should see why it's not right to stay in a corrupt industry. They shouldn't be like encouraging that. They should be like, yeah, that job's corrupt. You need to quit. Yeah, great, Zach. Yeah, $10 an hour minimum wage isn't very nice, but that's nice that you're doing something for the kids. Like, but that's not the way our society is. It's like our society's all, you think about it too when you're younger, right? When you're younger, I mean, most of the stuff that's cool to do is actually probably stuff maybe you shouldn't be doing. You're trying to do stuff the adults are already doing, but really you're not at the age where you should be doing things like that. It's like there's always a societal pressure to do something that's probably not the right thing, probably negative in terms of spirituality. There's this constant pressure from our peers to be about the wrong things. And then there's so much ridicule in our world for being about the right things. You question the government. To me, that's the right thing, man. Our government is so evil and corrupt and getting away with the most murderous things, but you're a bad guy if you do that. It's been that way for all of my adult life. Not even all my adult life. It's been that way since, I remember you just weren't even supposed to question things when you were in school. So, yeah, again, that's why, like, yeah, okay. My mom says she doesn't believe anymore, which, like, to me, that's more fitting. Here, I want to tell you something that's weird about me in light of the way I feel about faith. You know, you guys, this might sound like the weirdest thing to you in light of everything I've said, but this is also just shows you something about, like, my psychology, and since I was raised Christian and Lutheran, I actually like when I read comments that say, hey, Zach, even though you're not a Jesus person or Christian person, your work has brought me to Jesus, and I think it's better for me, so thank you. I actually like reading comments like that because they say they think it's better for them, and maybe like I'm like, okay, can't we just be spiritual without the whole Jesus thing? For some people, they need the Jesus part. It helps them. It like works their psychology. Hey, no wonder it's spread all over the world. It appeals to human beings. It doesn't mean it's right. Look how many things are popular and all over the place that are complete shit, but they appeal to the human mind. I mean, dildos are everywhere. Does that mean they're godly? Somebody might be offended by what I just said, but again, I am just trying to make a point. I'm just trying to get you to think. So, the Backstreet Boys are everywhere. Are they godly in sync? Hollywood, it's entertainment. Stuff that's everywhere. It's mostly the bad stuff. Oh, I can't keep my train of thought today. So yeah, I just, you know, I mean, but these things have shaped my worldview. It's just like, and here, the thing, my dad. So my dad, right? My dad's not religious, but he always repeats the golden rule. When I was growing up as a kid, he'd always say, you know, Zach, I'm not religious like your mom, but I think the golden rule is so important. Just treat other people the way you want to be treated. Be nice to people, you know. My dad, most people know my dad as just like a really nice person, and people take advantage of my dad. My dad's somebody who's been used and abused and always helped people out, and, you know, guy to loan out things, never get them back, and, you know, stay after for the boss, and then the boss doesn't give him the reward or the bonus like he said he was. I mean, that's been the story of my dad's life, but, you know, that was his whole thing. And then so I had that also as my father. I'm like, okay, he's not the religious one. He doesn't, like, he just, you know, he just thinks, be a good person. Just, the reason to be a good person is because life's better for the most part. You make things better around you. Just, he's always emphasized that. So, I mean, again, for all the religion, and then the religious people would come here and leave their other comments, the kind I can't stand. Just like the kind like earlier, like, oh, Zach, you're a narcissistic moron who denies Jesus, who's too dumb to know that the Washington thing's in tribute to Zeus and not Jesus. Just like, God. This person wonders why I rant. God. You're where the wood chipper rant comes from. That and watching the movie Fargo. But yeah, we lost the 4th of July slide, it looks like. So. All right, let me say thank you to the super chatters. Shout out again to 13 Serpents. You are very generous. 13 Serpents, again, I really do appreciate it. There's not a lot of people who provide super chats. Yours is almost always the biggest. But seriously, I really do help. You have a rainy day fund, all the emergency supplies you need in life. In case we do have some crazy world war breakout by the code, as it's happened in other times and greatly impacted millions of lives who might not have been prepared. Again, I encourage all my supporters not to live in fear, but to recognize the signs of the time and what is possible and what's happened in history. Let's hope it doesn't. But an ounce of preparation is worth a pound of cure. You should have that emergency water, food supply, first aid, batteries, flashlights, anything else you will feel you need in a bad situation to feel like you can take care of yourself and protect yourself. And if you don't like guns, some spray, spray. You just never know in fallout, desperate situation. We live in a society that's just bankrupt. And that's the other point I'm always trying to make you guys. That's the point I've always been ranting about. I get tired of people coming to me bitching about how bad of a person I am when you don't even know me. Again, I'll put my life resume up against anyone my age. The only people that I think would have resumes that would smoke mine are people who are 70, 80 years old who've lived lives as servants who've been around twice as long as I have. I know I've done a lot of things to help out a lot of people for all of my adult life. And again, bad decision doing the real estate. But because of the money I got in that, I decided to work for minimum wage for a long period of time and volunteer also my time and go back into educating and helping children. And pretty much been doing things of service. Even when I started the weed business, I felt it was out of service because I was doing a below market rate for people who needed medical marijuana, who could not afford it. And I even did a loan program for people with no interest, for people who needed, like Harlequin, for example, in weed is a strain you smoke that doesn't get you high, but it knocks out pain. It's like this is a decade ago, but a decade ago, Harlequin was the strain that was like the best pain strain that was out there that didn't make you high. So there was a lot of people that wanted Harlequin, and the market rate for it was more because it had this medicinal purpose. We were selling below market rate, and I had customers who could not afford it, but just to establish the brand, I let some people take a loan out in front and pay me back with zero interest over the course of a month, but just so they could have their supply in hand delivered to them. So even when I started that business, it had a very nice component to it, a really high free delivery service, better than anybody else's prices and strains people needed. And that's why the business was successful. But I also had to put a lot up front, and there were people who never paid me back, but most people did. And anyway, the point I'm making is I've always tried to do things that are right by people. That's why I taught this knowledge for free for 5 years every single day, because I knew it was important and I knew it was necessary and I knew it had the power to change things, even though it hasn't on the level it should have, because not enough people care. But I just get so sick of just being dragged through the mud by people who think they're better simply because they have a religious belief. And probably, I would have guessed a lot of people don't have anything to show for themselves in terms of nice things they've done for the world. Probably just selfish people who think that they're just so holier than thou just because they believe. Literally people like my sister. So, yeah, again, you'll never convince me that this religion is right. There might have really been a Jesus. The story might be possible. But again, I don't know any of that. I know that spiritual is a real thing. There's signs of creator. You should be about the right things. The golden rule is the truth. And I hate people coming and they're like, well, what do you mean by the golden rule? It's like, I already just talked about it. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. He could mean those who have the gold make the rules. That's never what I've been saying. But yeah, some of you guys really need to clean out your third eye too and get educated. Jupiter, Zeus is Jesus, okay? Know where your religion comes from. You guys don't know anything about anything, and you probably never read your own book either. That's the other sad part. Haven't read your own book. Just like my sister never reads the Bible. Doesn't know a verse in it. Well, like when I was trying to last talk to her about this in 2016, I was bringing up some things about Genesis 46 and sacrifice and why it mattered that Vanity died on the day of the Grammys, right before Prince died. My sister's a big Prince fan. Remember, we predicted Prince's death, sadly. The last time I ever tried to really have a conversation with my sister about this was back then, and she couldn't grasp anything, and all she said back, teaching her about Genesis and sacrifice and 46, something we've covered a million times. Again, Vanity died at age 46. She was from Niagara. That's why they lit up Niagara purple the day that Prince died, Mr. Purple Rain. Purple Rain equals 58. She died the day of the 58th Grammys. And she also died the day of Prince's mom. She died on Prince's mom anniversary. Let's not forget that either. That's how sick it is. Right before Prince died. Prince died at 57, thus in his 58th year of life. But, and he won he died the year of the King James ritual too. King James, who eventually ended up on the Lakers, who wear purple and gold like royalty, who are from Minneapolis like Prince. But the whole 58 thing with LeBron, remember LeBron won on the real King James's birthday, June 19th, and the real King James died at age 58. Like Los Angeles Lakers equals 58, like Freemasonry, like secret society, like biblical. Again, the Cavs legacy goes with now the purple and gold, where he's now doing the ritual synced up with King Charles. Those who fought for King Charles in history were Cavaliers. Guys, if you don't know about what LeBron did on May 6th this year, the year of King Charles' coronation, you got to check that out. How perfect it is synced with the lives of Steph Curry and LeBron. Oh my God, man. The Illuminati, man. That's why it's just like, that's why a lot of people give up, because I really started to think about it. They're like, the Illuminati is so far ahead of us. Humanity, like, doesn't look like they have a chance. I mean, really, the way it looks right now, if you had to draw it up as like a boxing match, you're like Mike Tyson in his prime as the Illuminati, and it's like Lil Willie in the other corner. And if you don't know Lil Willie, he's about 5'4", 95 pounds. He advertises himself online as a stripper. For men, he's been the bottom many times. Not looking good for Lil Willie, you know? Lil Willie in more ways than one. I mean, the odds of Lil Willie beating Mike Tyson are literally zero. There's not a single bet. You couldn't even rig the fight for Lil Willie. He's going to fall over out of a panic as soon as the bell dings. He might die on the spot. That's the way it looks right now, sadly, for humanity. And in a way, part of the reason I'm also doing that is not just that loser's just being a troll, and another pathetic human being that poses in the community as nothing more than an agent provocateur. But Lil Willie kind of represents where humanity's going, you know, likes taking the rear end, proud of it, painting their nails, so proud of it. And again, let people be people. If that's your life and what makes you happy, I'm not really worried about that unless you're out on the political stage now trying to mandate it and make it part of the curriculum and make a Pride Month about it. Like, literally, I want people to think about that. Why should anyone have a month dedicated to their sexuality? Is there one for heterosexuals? I thought everything had to be so even kilter at this day and age. Do we need a hetero month? Who wants to celebrate hetero month? I mean, it doesn't just being a human. We don't need a month for a truly human thing. And here's something I do want to be fair about. I do think some people in society are born gay. I mean, I still don't know about I'm not going to say what I'm going to say, but there's somebody whose life I'm watching. I've got to watch it from the time I was born. And you know, now they're getting into their mid-20s. And while the younger siblings have all had like some kind of romantic partner or relationship, still none for them that we're known about, but I've always had a feeling about this one that they've seemed pretty effeminate since they were about 2 years old. And again, you know, could be born that way because of what's in, you know, you know what I mean? The schedule's gone way up. So is it doing something to some people? But society's just so emasculated. There's so many more people that like to be bottoms like Lil Willie. You know, they're hanging out in the Castro and Capitol Hill and these kind of neighborhoods. You know, but and remember when we were in high school, people my age, the movie that came out was with the guy who always terrorized his family on MTV, the Canadian guy Tom Green. The movie with him and the guy from American Pie. Freddie Got Fingered, about how the cool guy from American Pie learns that he likes a nice something up his ass. That was the theme of that movie. And man, since the time that came out up to now, woo! It's crazy how many, the ratio. It's crazy how many more guys are experimenting. And if only, here's a fair way to put it. If only we had as many truth seekers as we have guys experimenting with getting pounded by another dude. You know what I mean? So we'd win this game if it weren't that way. But shout out to 13 Serpents. Truth does not exist. You don't need to be making donations, my man. Save up for the future. You're a young guy coming up. It was channel 22, if I didn't say so already. Again, I guess we covered these. Yeah, congrats to the winners. Yeah, indeed. But I can't control what they write on the Google. Blue, again, thank you times 2. Shout out to Rick James. And shout out to Nathan. So, again, Nathan, you guys, Disambiguation 144. A lot of cool videos on his YouTube channel. A lot of good re-uploads, too. No, he's openly. I'm not speculating on that. Ask him. He's openly gay. He goes both ways. So that's why I started to think about the long romantic drives him and the other guy have had together. They were asking me to come stay with them. I'm glad I didn't. Oh man. Because, yeah, the way Lil Willie gets on there and praises that other guy, you're like, what is really going on with these guys? I've never seen a man get on and just, like, confess his love for another man after a long road trip. Something is up. What's the word? Zesty? So, yeah, again, a lot of people aren't good at putting the dots together, but these dots aren't that hard to put together. You know what I mean? Long road trips, plenty of days in the hotel together, you know. Online love confessions. Come on, you guys. Painting the nails. Come on, man. You gotta be as blind as the guy who left the comment about Jupiter Zeus. Oh my God, these Christians, man. Learn where your religion comes from. Okay. Here, let me make sure nothing else is buzzing, and then we can wrap this thing up. Let's see. Make sure we're not missing anything else on the Superior General's 75th birthday. Netanyahu refuses to say in an interview with CNN if he'll take responsibility for October 7th attacks. Remember, you guys, those attacks happened exactly 182 days after he returned to office, and on the anniversary of the 9/11, post 9/11 invasion of Afghanistan, and Israel's 9/11, and everything else about it. But isn't it funny just looking at it? He's refusing to take responsibility for the attack on that day when we know it's perfectly synced with him. And there's that 93 like Illuminati, which is also the number all over Israel's history, the nation that was drawn up on September 3rd, where everything from Iron Dome to Knesset's 93. So that's in there. The Fed's fears about inflation may already be happening. Uh-oh. I don't want to read about it anymore. I'm tired of this crap. Just remember, you guys, I called that day one, too, and it wasn't hard to call. The day that they announced they were going to be printing out checks for Americans, I explained to people, I said, it's not a good thing for people who already have, like, worked hard and saved up money and have retirement accounts, because anytime the government has to print money, and this is mass printing to send out this many checks to Americans, it just deflates the currency. So for people who've worked hard their whole lives and saved up money, and say like a person's about to retire and they got maybe nearly $1 million for their retirement, which isn't a lot if they have a health problem. It could be all gone in the snap of fingers. But the average American, like my dad finally just made it to retirement, and he barely had a little bit more than $500,000. And he's been working his ass off his whole life. He just never learned how to work for much money. But he worked until he was age 70, so he get a higher return on his Social Security. But he only has $500,000 in savings in his accounts. And that's not a lot compared to a lot of other retired people. But because of inflation, now that $500,000 that he accumulated over a working life of all of his adult time, from he's been working since the time he got out of high school, 18 to 70, it's worth a good chunk less than it was just 3 years earlier. So he lost a whole huge, and he got a couple checks in the mail worth a couple so again, he got like, everybody in the mail over the course of the pandemic probably got what was it, about $2,500 in checks? Maybe if you had kids and a whole bunch of people, you got more. But like a typical individual or couple with no kids, about $2,500. Still, it's a lot of printing because it's everybody in the nation that's an adult. When you print money, it deflates the money that already exists, and it does it on a multiplicative level. So, for example, like my dad, he got $2,500. Maybe his wife got $2,500. So combined, they got $5,000 from the government. But now his savings of $500,000 became worth about 10% less because everything cost at least 10% more. Some things cost way more. You want to buy a house, it's like 50% more. But we'll just say on average, things became 10% more, even though I think it's really than that. Man, if you had $500,000 saved up, like essentially you just lost $50,000 in value because of inflation. It could be more than that. You could have lost $100,000 in inflation depending on where you live. All for $5,000. And remember, this is what I explained to you guys back when it happened. I said, this is what they're doing. This is how they're sabotaging the country. This is how they're destroying the middle class. This is how they're putting people in a broker situation. I said, just imagine like they pull the plug all the way or shut down the food system all the way. Now the only way to sustain yourself is to get in the government stipend line. And to do that, you got to have your jabs and everything else. You got to make sure you don't have COVID up your butthole. You're going to get checked out by the Catholic priest over here. Mr. Hands-On. So, yeah, you guys didn't know that. The first ever jab mandate in the world also came from the Catholic Church. Look that up. That's also facts. But yeah, we'll leave it there, you guys. Thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. And again, if you got here late, rewind the video. I got through all of it at some kind of pace from the beginning. So, and then we got into all the tangents that we always get into. I always got something to rant about. For people who don't understand, again, you got to be awake for 20 years. You got to be speaking out for 20 years. You do it. I do it for the right reasons, but there has been a downside to it. You get jaded from the world, and then you got to rant, and you got a sarcastic, cynical side like I do. But it's all part of the process to keep moving on. And I still think, even though I put some poison in there that probably shouldn't be in there, the work is still, it outweighs any of the negatives. The positives outweigh the negatives. Thank you, everyone who gets that, shares the work, spreads the work. You're the reason we still got a shot. Until next time, everybody.